You're listening to Power Athlete Radio, a podcast dedicated to empowering your performance every damn day. Join former NFL pro and Power Athlete founder John Welborn as he dissects the greatest minds in strength, conditioning, and more. So whether your goal is to be the hammer, destroy mediocrity, or simply move the dirt, you've come to the right place. Now with the warm-up done, let the gains begin.
Still guessing your way through training? Jumping between programs that promise fast results but never deliver? That ends now. When you commit to a full year of Power Athlete programming, we're including lifetime access to our nutrition protocols and a one-on-one consultation to build your game plan absolutely free. When you commit more, you get more. Every Power Athlete program is built on decades of experience training pros, operators, and people like you with lasting results. Forged by my time in the NFL, refined with PhDs and performance experts, and proven daily by a crew that's walked the same path you're on. No influence or BS, we exist to help you move better, perform better, and live stronger. If your goals change, no problem. Switch between any of our programs throughout the year, no extra cost. Go to powerathletehq.com/JanRes. Pick your program, then select athlete yearly at checkout. Don't sit on the sidelines, commit to yourself today. The Hammer 90 offering was some of the best thing. I mean, honestly, dude, you did I don't need to stroke your fucking massive ego anymore, but I think you did a great job.
But you do. You do need to.
You did a good job. I'm telling you, I was absolutely I thought you were cooking the results. I think you were on there bullshitting this thing because some of the results you got off of Hammer 90 were anything more than spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some people really, I mean, Arash is here, right? Some people made those kind of changes where it's like, this is not just like, oh, I dropped 10, 15 pounds, which is fine. Like if you drop 10, 15 pounds, awesome. But some people made real lifetime, never going back type changes.
Yeah. I mean, they changed habits, which I think losing weight is one thing, but if you don't change the habits, it comes right back. So to see that, but one of the regrets I have is I don't have blood work to back everything up. And I think physically losing some body fat and feeling better and all these kind of subjective things of no, I think I'm feeling better. I think I'm sleeping better. When you have a before and after blood work, especially when you have people that, I mean, we had one guy, lose 30 pounds?
Oh, we had a couple that were losing like that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of it too, going into it, blood work wasn't even on my mind because I honestly didn't think, I thought there would be some change, but not anything significant. But then when these people started putting 20 plus pounds and, it's not like they were 280 to begin with. Some of these dudes lost 25 pounds and they were 180 to begin with. And it's oh man, blood work would have been really nice right now to see. It
would have been interesting to see the metabolic derangement on the front side and to see what happened with hormones. And then all that becomes is better billboard material for when we start pushing this thing out. We haven't done, and I think this is part, I'll take full blame for this. One, I haven't done a good job in terms of pushing the nutrition, nutrition coaching, because we sell templates and we have programs, and these are all lower price point stuff. Templates $49.99, programs are $30. So we have all these kind of smaller price point items. And what I haven't done a good job of is really pushing a spotlight on the higher ones, which would be the academy, the methodology, the nutrition coaching, and some of the stuff that we're working on right now, which I think, the upsell, which is, private coaching, which you can get pretty far on the training programs. But like we said, you can get pretty far on a nutrition template. But we haven't had anybody follow a nutrition template that in 90 days has made these type of, I guess you could say, gains or, losses to say. I mean, not to say we haven't. I just am not aware of it just because once we get the template, people don't really have an accountability to check in. This episode of Power at the Radio is brought to you by the Business of Strength, the team behind Varsity House Gym. If you're a gym owner or a coach ready to build a career in fitness, check out their Strongest Year Project Mastermind. It's a 12-month roadmap with coaching, systems, and support from a team that's built multi-seven-figure gyms. They're hosting Trainer School on January 23rd at Varsity House HQ in New Jersey. It's a one-day hands-on workshop to level up your coaching skills fast. Get a free strategy call and $1,000 off the mastermind at businessofstrength.com/attend. Build a better business, build your strongest year. So
I think Yeah, I think you could make way on the template. I think the big thing that Hammer 90 showed myself and Bree and Johnny, the other coaches, and then the people who are in it, is there's a gap between people's perceived ability to be autonomous in this stuff and the reality, right? I think a lot of folks with the best intentions, right? It's not like they are maliciously trying to make something that's not real, but I think with the best intentions, they overestimate their ability to really do these things. And by these things, I mean like this, just rigorous self-accountability, right? And like this honesty with yourself where it's just like painful at times, right? And it's probably good that they can't do it because psychologically, I think we're probably a little messed up because we can, get after ourselves so much. But that's the thing, right? It has nothing to do with the X's and O's, right? They know what to eat and calories and macros, but it's the ability for when they can't look in the mirror and be honest, having somebody on the other end saying, no, check yourself, right?
Well, I also, I think people overestimate calories. Like they overestimate, like they underestimate calories in food, and they overestimate how many calories they need,
and also their capabilities, right? I mean, how many people have started a DIY project and gone way in over their head and not accepted defeat, and then just all the spare parts and extra lumber are just sitting around the house. I mean, just be humble enough to accept help just one time. Maybe you'll learn something. Yeah. And then after you learn that,
sound like every project car I've ever bought as I'm pulling it out of the poor guy's garage. It's been on blocks for 20 years and you get it rolling and you get it driving in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, but the one thing which is nice is we came off of our Eat the Weakness challenge. So I think that there was a little bit of shame, hate, grind, whatever it is. Like, I think the reins were off coming out of that thing. And then when people jumped into this, I don't think that they were ready for what we had gone through. And then I think, at least seeing a lot of the interactions, there was a little bit of a pity party in the beginning. And then once people fucking got into it and they realized like, oh man, this isn't going to be easy. If you want to do something that you've never done, be prepared to do something that you've never done. And I think that little bit of like coaching and mentoring, and then, you had Sunday calls. We had the Discord channel where it was a private Discord channel. So I think they felt comfortable kind of, bitching and moaning and whining and celebrating and all within like a kind of an enclosed group rather than the thousands of people that are in our Discord. So I think coupling that, and I think the job you did was great. I think like laying it out, because I think people, at least what I saw within, peripherally looking at it when you did the nutrition, most people were overeating on fat and undereating on protein and carbohydrates. Like I think that they, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating a paleo diet. I'm eating this and this. And I think once you went back and you like kind of explained to them like, hey, this is how foods work and this is how these things are kind of hidden. And when you remove that, I think people did a lot better, because I think most people are pretty low carb. So, and it's very hard to be high fat and high carb. I mean, that's like the recipe. Like I just call that the donut. Like you want to have high fat, high sugar, fucking look at donuts, right? Deep fried dough with sugar deal. But once you started kind of like, titrating the fat down, upping, being, not so much protein that all of a sudden it was knocking everything out and kind of balancing macros. I think that's when everybody really hit the stride. And it also allowed for accountability for training.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So a lot of, if not all of the members in that first cohort were working out on their own, right? And so we all know the value of training partners. And so just having even virtual training partners, but training partners nonetheless, that increases.
Well, we saw that with Eat the Weakness.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Matt, Arash, myself, and you really kind of finished it. And then unfortunately, old man John, Marty, and then who else was in there?
Well, Marty kind of dipped out on his own.
But he wasn't doing the training.
He wasn't doing the training.
You were doing the training. I was doing the training. Ben was doing the training, and Matt was doing the training. And I feel like, because not to say, old man John wasn't doing the training, but I know he got hurt and he couldn't finish it. And I know Mo wasn't, he wasn't consistent as he should have been.
No.
I'm trying to think of who else would have been in there. That was just us, right?
Yeah, we're forgetting old school.
Evan Esch. Evan Esch was dipped out the first week. And it was because he couldn't do the training.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think that there's a coupling where, obviously, hey, we're all going to follow this diet. We're in this group. Here's the training. And you have virtual training partners that are keeping you accountability, both on the food and the weights. I think that's the recipe. What Eat the Weakness showed me is if you don't follow the training, it's really hard to connect with people in kind of a social way. And like that kind of like little bit of like, social connection, ball busting, whatever it is. Yeah. Like I really, because of my knee surgery, I haven't been training and I haven't had a chance to really see Arash and the guys. And he came in, he's like, man, we've been getting kind of aggressive on the text messaging. There's a lot of fucking shots fired. And he said he was talking to Victor. He's like, man, things got a little vicious just for the mere fact that we haven't been hanging out.
We haven't been hanging out. He's been out of commission. No jujitsu. Haven't really been lifting because of the holidays and the knee.
We didn't go to dinner. We haven't gone out and hung out. And so when that happens, we just fucking knives out.
The bushes are overgrown. They have to be chopped down again. But speaking on the Hammer 90, dude, I just wanted to do a spotlight on Rob Fuentes, who was part of the Hammer 90, because he's also at the school at Six Blades Lake Travis. Yeah. And so he came to us as a jiu-jitsu dad. His kids started first, and he always was really curious.
Was he a power athlete guy before that?
No. No, he came into it by osmosis, just by like following the power, like listening to Power Athlete Radio.
So he came for jiu-jitsu, then through you guys ended up getting into Power Athlete. So it was Six Blades, then Power Athlete.
Yeah. And so then once he saw, I ran into him at Lifetime at like early in the morning, like 5 a.m. And he was doing his own thing. He was like, hey, dude, do you mind if we work out together? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing this thing called Eat the Weakness. It might be a little harder than you're used to, but you should try. He's like, yeah, I'm game. And so that was his first exposure. But you could just tell that from the time that he started jiu-jitsu to now, like his consistency in jiu-jitsu, right, coupled by his mandatory compliance in the Hammer 90, where it comes to eating and the training. On the other end of it, dude, he's only a white belt, but you could see he's like developed into this like consistency.
Did you hear the disdain in your voice? Like the arrogance?
Only white belt. You're terrible.
God, did you hear it?
I'm a black belt, by the way.
Did you hear it?
You should not be speaking.
I get it. I live in my own ivory tower. Welcome, Arash.
Please
Welcome
bow to me, Sensei. Dr. Ben, please proceed.
Sorry, listen, we have Dr. Ben and Professor Arash.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I would say this to say that is like, it was a funny, like a rocket ship coming off the ground, right? It's like he had only one thruster, and then as he was starting to add these other activities that required consistency, he only got better. And now at the end of it, like he's a leader of consistency in that group. I remember him telling me, and it might be cool to do like a little video of him, but he said, dude, I walked in here and I was the fattest dude of all the kids' parents. I was the fat guy. And now he's like rolling around, probably rolling more than other guys, and he looks amazing. So just shout out to Rob. I'm proud of him, but like consistency, it's simple, but it ain't easy.
No. And I take a little flack for this, but I've always believed that the secret sauce for a lot of transformations is a little bit of internalized shame. Like not external where like somebody shames you, like, oh, look how fat you are, even though, that would be helpful as well. But like walking in and realizing, like you said, like I was the fat dad, like everybody else here is in good shape and they move, and like, why not me? Like, this isn't the model that I want my children to see. And like, if I bring a kid here, I don't want him to be like thinking his dad's a fucking piece of shit.
Right.
And like, that's like something like, I mean, that little bit of like internal shame, like it's like nobody's going to say that to him. No. And nobody's thinking that. Like, I try to tell my daughters this, like, they were like, I forgot, we went to dinner and they were so worried about something like, oh, this looks weird. And I'm like, remember, the biggest misconception in the world is you think anybody else fucking cares.
Right.
99% of the world is just trying to fucking get through their day and not fucking kill themselves. So if the fact that like you walk in and maybe your shoes are mismatched or maybe your hair is a little out, nobody's noticing because they're so focused on themselves. And now once you add, devices, now they're more focused on the fucking device.
Yeah.
So people aren't noticing. But when you walk in and this is something like you all of a sudden like, hey, I'm not holding the standard, or I don't feel like I'm part of something, or, or I feel different and I need to change this. Like that internalized shame is a powerful fucking motivator.
Dude, it's so cool to see Rob like at open mat and his kid at open mat with him, and they're training together. Dude, that's awesome.
How old's the son?
Son's only 6 years old.
It's awesome.
About to be 7.
Nice.
But still, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly the example you want to set for your kid. Like, hey, on Saturday we're gonna go train and we're gonna go get sweaty and we're gonna get better. And if anything, I wonder if there's like a Hammer 90 kids, like where it's like you get to do your Hammer 90 and then your kiddos get to do like a little Hammer 1/90.
So you're gonna laugh at this. Speaking of kids, we were watching jiu-jitsu videos, and I think it was either Craig Jones, because what you really want to do is watch Craig Jones videos with your 9-year-old. First of all, for 9-year-olds that do jiu-jitsu, Craig Jones is their North Star.
Oh God!
Right?
And we need to change this, because like him using the word jiu-jitsu has really muddied the waters.
Yeah, it's really Mexican ground fighting is what he's doing,
dude. It's at this point, let's just call it something else.
It was something that the gist of it came down to the oil check.
That was the video?
Or like it was something like somebody got oil checked and Cashy was like, oh, he stuck his finger. And I was like, yeah, it's called the oil check. So now what does Cashy do to me constantly? Like fucking comes over and he like oil checks it.
Hey, Ben, you were in Japan. Do you remember the concho? Like the school ground trick that Japanese kids will play on each other?
No.
Oh, dude, since elementary school, this is what kids will do. They're like, they'll take their hands together like this. And when you're walking, they'll just kind of be like, boom, 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 and like shove their hands in your butt. And then they make you go, oh, like that. Yeah, it's like a school ground thing.
I mean, not that it's okay or not. And like I was trying to explain to him,
I wish I grew up in Japan.
Like Craig's an interesting dude, but for like a 9-year-old,
yeah,
he looks like he's having a pretty good time. He's like hanging out in Speedos. He's got weird tattoos. He's doing a whole bunch of he's on the beach.
Different colors, right? He's like wearing all kinds of wacky colors.
Yeah, he's like he
looks like a character in Fortnite.
Yes.
Like Fortnite, they get to wear like random
100%.
skins and stuff. He looks like a random skin kind of guy.
Yeah. So like I find 7 to 9-year-olds, huge Craig Jones fans. Divorced dads over the age of 40, huge Craig Jones fans. In the middle, not really so much.
Right. See, the issue kind of here is like and I don't want to get too far into the jiu-jitsu weeds because we could go forever, but I think that there needs to be a culling of who gets to call what they do jiu-jitsu. But
look at this. This guy gets a black belt and now he's the king of the castle.
Okay, Ben.
Fucking Moneyberg Jr.
Ben.
Yeah,
listen,
Arash,
Dr. Ben.
once Arash starts rolling with socks on, then he can start calling the shots.
Well, so Moneyberg 3.5 years. Arash Soofiani
3.5 years.
Soofiani 3.5 years.
Yeah. It's a lot in common.
It's a lot. I mean, so when I first rolled with Arash when I was brand new, he was a blue belt. I'm still a blue belt. He's a black belt.
And he skipped over the Manausian green belt.
I did. I would. I don't know why I got to skip over the Manausian green belt, and now I'm no longer part of the legend of the dirty green belts of Manaus.
Well,
not everybody gets to be perfect.
Yeah. You don't get to claim Shanji Hibero as your lineage. If you skip over the green belt. No, but just
you better get
general,
down on one knee and belt me.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so what I mean to say is like we have to we obviously need to widen our scope and pull as many people in, okay, to whether it's like jiu-jitsu or martial arts or power athlete training, and then once they're in, we still have to hold them to the standard.
Sure.
Something that happened in judo, at least I remember this one. They gave me my black belt in judo and I had to write a document, another black belt, by the way. I had to write a document and submit for a background check and check my criminal record and see if I had any offenses on it. And then this like council of black belts in your area would say yes or no. And then you could get it or not. And this ensured that like you weren't teaching, you obviously, there were some people that they made exceptions to, like if people had made like a course correct in their life, but there was a council of people that held you to the standard of what it is.
Yeah, but there was an association.
So yeah, that was an association. The issue, I think, with kind of the issue and the benefit of jiu-jitsu is that anybody can get into it, anybody can learn from it, anybody can stand on their own from it. But I think that the community has not held it to the same standard.
I'll just give you an example. Judo to me is like the NFL, right? Okay. There's like one governing body. Right. Like if you're going to play pro football, and I meet people all the time, like I play pro football, and I'm like, you didn't play in the NFL, you're not really a pro. Yeah. Like that's just the ivory tower. Like if you wanted to play semi-pro or arena or this, I mean, those are semi-pro. Mm-hmm. But when they talk about professional football, it's the NFL. Baseball, like pro baseball, is much more than Major League Baseball. You can play in Asia. You can play overseas. You can this. I watch these wild banana dudes that do dances. Right. Have you seen that? Where these guys like have these choreographed dances and they're like the Savannah Wild Bananas, and they have this whole league that has like music, and these guys like do acrobatic dancing, and like it's
and it's a baseball. It's a baseball thing.
Yeah. Okay. And they have a league, and these guys are professional baseball players. Okay. So like the optics on what a professional baseball player is, there's minor leagues, there's, single A, triple A, there's all these different things, and like all these people get scoped into professional baseball. Sure. Now when you talk to people like, oh, I played pro baseball, and you're like, oh, did you play in the MLB? No, I played this. And like these guys are all pro baseball players. So I look at jiu-jitsu a lot like baseball, where there's a lot of different variations, just because, a guy might have a black belt and that guy's not Salo Barro. Right. Like that was Joe Rogan's deal. And I think he's actually used Salo's name on his podcast, where he's like, you might show up and a guy might be a black belt, or you might show up and it might be Salo's the black belt. Yeah. Like in the difference between a Shanji and a Salo versus some guy who got belted in Ohio by some guy who got belted in Cleveland, and, like is just so far removed. Like their jiu-jitsu is very different than all of a sudden somebody who's a Lobato guy or this. I mean, so it's kind of, I think that's why the belts matter and the lineages matter. But I think for something like judo, there's only one. Like if you're a judo black belt, you've gone through the same process. Just like when I meet guys that are pro football players, they've gone through the same process.
Or academia, right? I think things move a little bit slower, and Ben can speak more to this. But your counsel in that regard is basically all the professors that are tenured, right? Yeah. And then you can probably correct me, but they're the ones who basically poo-poo you or okay you.
Well, I mean, the PhD world's a little bit different too, because the first one you ever get when like, oh, I'm a PhD from where? Where'd you get your PhD?
Who'll give?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a real deal. Like in the PhD world, you might have like a guy like Mike Israetel who got his PhD from something in the back of Life magazine. No, where'd he get it from?
I think he got it from mid Tennessee, Eastern Tennessee State.
Yeah, but it was kind of a smaller program, wasn't it?
Yeah, So I think it's like the idea of lineage matters, right? Like, yeah, it's the same concept. The lineage meaning, so not to toot my own horn, but like Indiana, one of the reasons I went to Indiana was because it was a first descendant of the Harvard Fatigue Lab. So Harvard Fatigue Lab is like the original exercise physiology lab. When that disbanded, one of the members came to IU and started the exercise physiology department, right? So yeah, I mean, that very much matters in some aspects. But what we're seeing more and more, and this is kind of like related to what Arash is saying about jits, now there are certain positions in like say the NFL or whatever, where it's like sports science. So you need a PhD, but nobody really cares about your lab abilities or necessarily wants to have like a Socratic discussion with you. They just want someone who they can say like, yeah, they got a PhD so they can be the director of sports science. So same thing, like, yeah, somebody gets their black belt from so-and-so from middle of nowhere, blah, 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 just so they can open their own school and say, yeah, I'm a black belt, right? Mm-hmm. And I can give out other black belts. So there is a little bit of that in the academic side as well.
Well, and even bigger on the liberal arts side. I know for, when I was doing my rhetoric degree at Berkeley, there were only 3 places that recognized rhetoric as like a legit deal. It was Harvard, Yale, and Berkeley. Mm-hmm. So all my professors were either from Yale or Harvard. And then all the people that got either a master's or a doctorate in rhetoric went to go teach at Harvard and Yale. and they did this kind of like interesting kind of like three-way rotation. So like all my professors, like I remember Will West was one of my guys. He was from Yale, and then it was Harvard and this. And I was like, why is it all Harvard and Yale? It's like, because there's only 3 programs that are worth the shit. And so we're all the Berkeley people. Like they're all at Harvard and Yale, and then they all come back. And like that was kind of an interesting thing because when I got my master's, or applied for my master's in education, they were kind of pressuring me like, hey, you should get your master's in rhetoric, but it was like a 3-year program. And I was like, I got 1 year, dude. And like in hindsight, I should have done it. And then when I went to the NFL, I should just come back every off season and got it because that would have been dope. But at the time, I was a 23-year-old dipshit that wanted to go on vacation and chase chicks. Damn it. God, I can't believe I wasn't more academically focused back then.
I think there isn't the good is that we don't have this bottleneck on information anymore, and everybody can pursue various disciplines from the comfort, or I should say like even the discomfort of their situation. Like if you're in somewhere where you don't have a lot of access, you can get the information you need.
Sure.
I just think there still needs to be, I think if more than ever, there needs to be communities, even if they're online communities, of people that hold each other accountable and hold each other to the standard that's required within their
what do you think about?
Because I think there's limited room at like an institution, for instance, like a Harvard or what have you.
Well, what
like there's not a lot of space.
What do you think in the jiu-jitsu world? Because when I remember I asked Shanji this question, like, what do you think one of the bigger problems is? He said, well, a lot of people are now, because of the instructionals and all the information online, have turned into what he called move hunters,
right?
Where they buy an instructional, they watch the instructional, they go into their garage and maybe they have like a grappling dummy or a buddy come over and they practice these moves,
right?
And then they just travel around to open mats and try to execute said move on an individual.
Yeah, I think the difficult part of that is you run into the idea of, oh, now we have to regulate people's black belts in the same way that you would, accreditate a degree, right? And then
but I mean,
at the end of the day, it would be like, okay, you have a governing body, IBJJF, and then the ones that accredit you, and then
no, you don't have to, and I'll tell you why.
Right,
you went down to Houston and went to an open mat as a black belt, as a fresh black belt.
Oh, that was great.
And you called me.
I got mollywopped that day.
And you called me, and you were like, dude. Every one of these dudes was acting like this was ADCC finals. What the fuck? I went to plenty of open mats as a brown belt and had a great time. I was literally catching strays everywhere, and everybody was waiting in line to fucking lay the beat down.
Which I was grateful for. Well, by the way, shout out to Revolution Dojo and Dinko. Very friendly guys.
But
yeah,
that's like if you show up with a belt that you can't carry, and I think I saw an interview, and I can't remember who it was. It was it was actually on Rogan, where the guy said, your professor does a disservice if he gives you a belt you can't carry. Because if somebody from outside the school or you go somewhere and, people know, because if you roll enough, like, oh, that guy's a blue belt, it's like rolling with Camden. I'm rolling with Camden. I'm like, this dude's no blue belt. Yeah, and then when he got his purple belt, I'm like, finally, you're not going to be able to shark people.
Yeah, but we can't, what I think is, and this is a little bit of an abstraction, but we can't just base it on the physical output of the person, because there will become a day. I mean, I'm even starting to experience it within my strength and conditioning. Is like I can't press the same amount of weight over my head anymore, and so my physical output is reduced. Does that make me any less of a strength coach because I'm not as strong as I used to be? Definitely not. It's more so about how I can coach others to get there. So
don't ever admit that to yourself.
Huh?
Fucking don't ever admit that. Bury that deep down and squash it. Never admit that. Don't ever put that into the universe. I firmly believe the best version of myself is next week. If The Rock can get in the best shape of his life in his 50s, regardless of whether or not he had massive heart attacks and problems, whatever it is, but I don't ever admit that to you. Like, don't speak ill, or the warrior within will start to believe.
I'm not speaking ill of myself, but I do see that I have strength in other avenues, and I've got scoliosis in my back, so it's like I shouldn't be. DEXA. Yeah, exactly. I shouldn't be pressing a barbell over my head in that way. Maybe I should press like kettlebells, lateral movements. Have you
heard of functional patterns?
That's what I was going to say. Is actually I have this call scheduled with this guy. He's shirtless. His name is
Nandi.
Is it Naudi?
No, is it Naudi?
Like now he's going to give you the D.
I thought it was Nandi.
Anyway, say this to say that.
I cannot wait till the day we meet him.
What if he's really cool?
Impossible. Impossible.
What if he just needed to give you a nice little hug and then
the functional patterns guys, I think they mean well, right? Like I think that they mean well. The problem is that their cult leaders led them astray, right, and has sold them something which is very and I think this is the issue that people run into is when I can't do your stuff, so I'm going to create stuff I can do, and then I'm going to build value that my stuff is better. God, what was the guy that worked with Conor McGregor?
Ido Portal.
Ido Portal was a great example. Super prickly dude. Very, very difficult to deal with. I know because Rob Wolf and him are good friends, but Erwan Lacour, who did MoveNet, came and taught a seminar at my place, and he asked me if I would give him a review. And it was like all of these like kind of like interesting kind of movements, but there was no progression. You either can or can't. And I remember telling him, I was like, hey, I see what you're teaching and you're requiring people to do these things, but if they fail, there's no progression to get them to do something. It's not like, hey, if you can't, like the analogy I gave him is like, if you can't squat 400 pounds, you can't squat 400 pounds. Well, that's why you start at 100 and then you slowly do a linear progression. You have to find some progression to allow people to execute your movements. And he couldn't wrap his head around that. So Rob ended up hooking him up with Ido Portal. Ido showed up and they were like, hey, we're going to do this movement. And I think they were like jumping from like a log to log. And I think Ido did like a standing backflip off of the log and landed on the other log. And Ido just started doing ridiculous shit that like they couldn't do and be like, oh, you guys can do this? Let me one up you. And he's like just went up and smashed his thing. And they left there being like, oh, like there's people out there that can just do this shit way better than we can. And I think that's kind of one of the issues you run into is people find a set of things that like, oh, we're not going to do this. We can't do this. Like we haven't seen this. So we're going to do this. We're going to get really good at it. And then all we're going to do is cast stones, and my thing with the functional patterns is, if I go do your training, should I be able to do my training better? And if I do my training, should I be able to execute what you're asking them to do? And they get like into these very interesting kind of like very singular kind of like odd movements, like this cable movement here and there. And then they're like watching it and they're like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, what are we looking for? Like, there's no progression for anything. There's nothing to tell me what you're doing. And like
it's not measurable. That's the issue.
Measurable.
It's this weird kind of conjecture almost. It reminds me a lot of like religion to some extent. Like you have to have faith.
That's the commonality among a lot of these fitness sects, right? They do these things that are not measurable, so then you're forever dependent on them as the source of validation, or they say they're measurable, but they're not measuring the thing that actually matters, right?
He's also put a ton of emphasis on fascia, and fascia is extremely misunderstood. But the issue we know is that, fascia is kind of the wiring of the body. It's basically how we hold the skeleton together. Like there's muscle, there's bone, there's all these things, and everything's kind of encased within the fascia. The problem is fascia doesn't have the same, like what they're attributing to fascia is really muscles and like the nervous system.
Right. It doesn't remodel
like there's
quickly
I mean,
it's just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like as you train the other stuff, it gets trained up as well.
So the person who knows more about fascia than just about anybody on the planet is Craig Bueller, Dr. Bueller, for the AMIT stuff, because they understand that a lot of dysfunction is stored within the fascia, and a lot of his work is clearing the dysfunction within the fascia and a lot of the movement stuff. So when I called Dr. Bueller, he ended up sending me a book on fascia. That's excellent. I went through all the stuff, and I kind of went through and kind of talked to him a little bit about the functional patterns. And he's like, they're inherent. It's kind of like a moving of the goalpost. It's a little bit of basketball. Reminds me of CrossFit in the early days, where like I see what you're doing, but we're going to kind of create our own. So what they've done is they've built a certain amount of emphasis into something that is just kind of like there's no way to train the fascia independent of the body. To say, oh, this is fascial training, it's like, well, you can't train, like that's like, well, we're just going to train the nervous system without the muscles. We're going to train the muscles without the nervous system. Like we are, like nothing exists in a vacuum. And then that guy's super prickly, attacks people, and is probably like no taller than this. He's like a little dude.
Stop! I really like that. I really like that court skull.
I like him too. Somebody referred to him as a manlet, and I think that's very fitting. He's a manlet, which is, I guess, is a term for a small man.
Yeah, I don't really like. I just let time tell.
Yeah,
there's things you could even say. Power athlete is like timeless jujitsu, right? Yeah. These are just immutable concepts that are. I wouldn't say that there isn't anything that can't be changed. Obviously we're always looking for progress and new things, but progressive overload, measurable progress, these are things that are, I mean, these fundamental athletic movements, until we evolve to have different kinds of appendages and like additional dorsal fins and things like that. I don't think anything really until the new evidence comes out. These are kind of the laws of training, and then when we get more information, we're open to changing. But if you can't measure your progress and you can't plan your work, then it's hard to see where you're going. So
we ran a test in 2025 for Power Athlete. We ended up working with a fire department. I'm not going to tell you where and who they are. If they're listening, they know who they are.
West Hollywood.
Be the best type. So we ended up picking up, I think, 40, 45 firefighters, and ended up giving them the option of 3 different programs: Hammer, Jack Street, and Grindstone. Originally started them all on Bedrock, and then after 12 weeks, I kind of rotated them out. And then we have a program lead that I'm a liaison kind of lead that I kind of mirror with and interact. And we had our call yesterday to kind of like review the year, where they want to go, what they want to do. And what's kind of interesting is, they have access to 3 programs. They want to take the access down to 1 program and then add in something like Iron Flex or, build the base like with Ben. Looking at like now we've kind of like taken them and given them the option of 3 different programs. They've all kind of like slowly assimilated into the program they like the best. And it's pretty much evenly divided. There's 15, 15, and like 13, right? So some people dig Jack Street, mind you. Most of the dudes who fit within, and a few of the girls, into a certain demographic like Jack Street. Some of the older people really love Jack, or the older kind of people with a little more mileage love something like Grindstone. And then there's some really interesting younger hard chargers that love Hammer. But one of the issues they run into is they were like, we'd love to have some more mobility stuff. Like, how can we improve sprinting and this? And so I offered them yesterday, and you guys are, consider you guys self-invited, that at some point I'd like to go up there and teach a in-person event for them. Obviously they're north of Texas. So, and I told them, like, like we do with the military, like we do with the guys at DevGru, we go and we teach them an event, and I'm like, hey, I'm more than happy to come teach an event and just give you the programming for free, like right pocket, left pocket, however you want to work it. But I feel that the experience is so much more rich when we can actually work with these people for 2 or 3 days. Like the buy-in, and this is something that we discussed on Saturday with our Block 1 call, the people that we interact with in person and train tend to be much more sticky, or we could say influenced. And that influence extends much longer than people that are peripheral. So one of the things the guys brought up is some in-person events. So to be able to, for the last couple of years since COVID, Power Athlete's been very isolationist, in that the events we've put on have been for our Block 1 coaches and our collective. But to be able to, put out some events in 2026 for the general public, and then, like being able to do that. So I think that there's some really neat stuff to be, the ability to do something like more, which I know we're going to roll out more Hammer 90s. And then, the other big thing too, and I wanted to bring this up on the podcast. One of the interesting things that we found out at Hammer 90, which we know to be true. And actually your DEXA scan that you sent to me was the one that was like, really solidified it in my mind. It's easier to gain muscle the leaner you are.
Right.
Right. And I trace it back to systemic inflammation of body fat. The more body fat you have, the more systemic inflammation. It's almost fighting against each other. It's light and dark. So the leaner you are, the idea of like, oh, I'm going to be 20% body fat, I'm going to try to bulk and put on muscle, next to impossible. Yeah. It's almost easier to drop the body fat down to 10, 12% and then try to slowly put on muscle. And the ability to put on muscle is greatly increased the leaner you are. And I think that's what we observed. I saw with yours, and also Ben saw this with this. The leaner you get, the easier it is to put muscle in after you lean out. If you're already fat, the systemic inflammation, lack of insulin sensitivity, and I'm sure you can give a myriad of other reasons, prevent and really kind of block a lot of this kind of hypertrophy. So, yeah.
And that's, I mean, I say unfortunately, it's not unfortunately because they did great things, but a lot of folks in Hammer 90 were kind of given the wake-up call of how hard it is to build muscle because they lost all this weight, and underneath all this weight, they saw like, oh, I'm pretty under-muscled. And I think that's what people forget. And it's a lot like, we were just joking about Arash's timeline of getting his black belt, but like journeys like that, like these things take a long time and a lot of repetition, right? And a lot of monotony and going through all that. There's no way to really fast track it. You can say with muscle, you could fast track it with drugs, I guess. But I mean, a lot of these folks were kind of upset, or not upset, but just like, man, I was hoping I would look better is what I would hear a lot. Yeah. But then I get to talking with them. It's like, well, how long have you been training? Well, I've only really been training for like a year and a half. And it's like, oh man, like, because when I threw my pictures up for Meet the Weakness, they kind of had that idea. And it's like, no, I've been lifting weights since I was 13. Like this is like,
I got 30 years under the barbell.
Yeah. Like that's kind of thing. And actually, talking to my wife about it, because she's late adopter of the barbell. And so she was really frustrated too, because she was losing weight, but it's like, she's like, well, I want to look jacked. And it's like, well, that's coming down the road. I mean, she's crushing Jack Street now, but did you give her Bree's game plan? It's like, we're going to need to bulk you to 300. No, but Bree's a great example, though,
dude,
right?
Like Bree is our poster child, and I'll tell you this:
phenomenal.
The fact that she was 300 pounds, and just think about like the muscle and the strength that it carries just as a woman. I mean, because I've been 300 pounds, you've been 300 pounds, you've never been 300 pounds, you coward.
275.
Oh, that's right, 275. So you've been close. But like the ability to carry that, like there's a certain amount of like muscle mass and like this. And like for her, she carried that weight and she was banging weights. And then when she leaned out, like I was like, God damn, dude, like this is what everybody hopes for. Like if I could just lose some body fat, I'm going to look amazing. The problem, and this goes back to something I've been saying for fucking 850. Jacob, what podcast will this be?
Number?
Yeah, is
842.
Okay, so for 842 podcasts, what I've been saying is most people would really benefit from gaining 5 pounds of muscle than losing 10 pounds of fat. But that now makes sense to me in that it's a lot easier to gain 5 pounds of muscle after you've already lost the 10 pounds of fat. So I'm adjusting my narrative at this point after 13, 14 years of fucking blabbing this.
I think something would change people's like, I guess, it would change a little bit of perspective is if let's say your prime years were like you were 22 years old, okay? And then you spent 10 years with bad habits and you're 32, or maybe let's go even further. Now you're 42 and you're trying to make a huge change in your lifestyle and habits. Okay, that's 20 years of like essentially no discipline and not having any of the productive habits that can get you to this like fitness goal or this body composition goal. And you're able to achieve, or let's just say it, unfuck a bad situation in a year and a half. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like you fought for a year and a half and you've got this kind of progress against 20 years of the most violent thrashing of your body.
Well,
right?
I mean, look at Mark Bell.
On a day-to-day basis.
I remember the first time I went up and did Mark Bell's podcast.
Right.
I have a picture of him. He looked like like that character you sent me, the deal. He looked like a big thumb.
Okay.
Like he was trying to put on as much body weight. I mean, he was smelly and the whole deal. And then he fucking pulled the e-brake and like, now he just looks like a veiny penis. I mean, dude, Mark is fucking,
man.
Yeah, dude, fucking jacked.
He can run.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the problem that Mark, and I think why he searches, and especially I think why he went to the functional patterns guy is because he was so locked in in just fucking x-axis squatting and pulling and this. He has no rotation in his body. Like when I watch him run, he's just very like this way. He has no kind of rotation, like no contralateral pattern. And when he was on the podcast, we went up to go train. I was like, dude, at some point we got to figure out this rotation. And I don't think it's a training issue. I think it's a neurological issue. And I recommend it. I was like, you need to go see Dr. Bueller, see if he can fix this stuff, because whatever you're doing, you're locked in this pattern and you have to figure out whether it's crawling, swimming. You got to figure out something.
Or maybe it's that Indian chiropractor that can go in there and then hit the button. Do you know what I'm talking about, Ben?
Did I ever tell you? Did I ever tell you when I was playing for the Eagles? Just on a side note, Jeff Thomason, who was our tight end, ended up. I mean, like the ground was frozen. We were on the turf. He ended up catching the ball, spinning around, getting hit, and he landed right on his butt and broke his collar or his tailbone. So they took him in and like they carted him off the field. So they went in and we had an osteopath who was a pretty strange dude. Who actually I really liked, who used to adjust me. He was great for everything. And he went in and he's like, hey, this might take like 4 to 6 weeks to heal. It's going to be very hard to sit on it. Or I could just fix it in about 10 seconds. Yeah. And he's like, and he goes, if I fix it in 10 seconds, I can get you back out there. You're going to have no problems in this. Or if not, you're going to have to like, this is going to be terrible. You're going to be sitting on one bunch cheek for a year. And he's like, fucking do it. Finger in the butthole, curled his finger and snapped it back into place. And so Thomason comes running out. It's in the huddle. And we're like, dude, you just got carted off. What happened? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And so the game. And then after I was like, JT, what happened? And he's like, dude. So I go in and he tells me this. And then finally he's like, I can fix it and get you out there in like 10 seconds. And he's like, just do it. So he goes, I bend over. He goes, finger in the butthole. He literally curled his finger and then yanked and snapped it back in. And instantly the pain went away and I was fine. And so we were fucking like, holy shit, really? So then I see the doc and I'm like, so like, what's the deal? Like, give me the backstory. He's like, well, I treat a lot of strippers. And he goes, one of the hazards of being a stripper is falling off the pole. And when they fall off the pole, they land on their ass and they break their collarbones. Yeah. He goes, so I had a girl come to me with a broken collarbone. I fixed it. Her tailbone. Yeah. And he goes, and then like 3 days later, she brought all of her friends. And he goes, and next thing you know, I was sticking my finger in like strippers' buttholes, like 3 a week. And he's like, it was kind of my bread and butter there for a while. And I'm like, you still see him? He's like, yeah. He goes, word got out. And I'm like, was it the tailbone or is it the finger in the butt? He's like, probably a little bit of both. He's like, but those aren't bad days. He goes, sticking my finger in Thomason's butthole, that was a little gross. He's like, but he goes, good thing I'm a doctor and this is for science. I mean, hilarious. Like at the Eagles and at the Chiefs, the team docs and the guys that worked with us were hysterical. We had another osteopath at the Chiefs, and I cannot remember his fucking name for the life of me. But he had an MD, but he also worked as a veterinarian and worked on horses. So he did adjustments and worked on horses. And like this dude could manipulate anything. And like I would go see him for like, I'd be like, this hurts. He's like, I got you. Like DMSO, whatever it is, like because he worked on racehorses. And he was super skilled. So the ability to adjust a horse and then you go work on a person like that guy, like, so like there was always weird dudes like that. And I used to, just like we had a psychiatrist that was with our team when I was at the Eagles, who his claim to fame was he was in the Army and was an Army trained psychiatrist. He specialized in mental warfare. And he actually developed the playlist that they blasted at Noriega's house. So what they did is the way they got Noriega out is they set up speakers and they played Welcome to the Jungle on repeat 24 hours a day until Noriega came out. So he put a playlist together and that was the one that he tested. They used testing people. And his claim to fame was like, so whenever I'd be like, what was the coolest shit you'd ever do? He's like, developed the playlist that they blasted at Noriega to get him out of his house. What about that one?
Holy shit.
And I was like, let's talk about this. So yeah, he was great. He was also the guy that would come over and be like, hey man, you guys gave me too many Darvocets. I'm feeling kind of loopy. He's like, I got something for you. I'll hook you up.
Darvocet? This is like a painkiller.
Yeah. So when I broke my leg, did I show you the picture of my broken leg? I send you this?
The bottom of your ankle, right?
Yeah, with the shin or with the helmet thing. Did I send you this?
It was right next to that dick pic you sent me. Right?
No, that was one Victor sent.
Oh, okay.
Victor always sends that.
It's just so small.
So do you see my shin?
Yeah, dude.
That's from a helmet.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I love it. Yeah. So,
oh my God, it's a literal dent.
Yeah. So there, if you look at my fibula, I can kind of show this picture right there. If you see right here,
the wrong picture, John.
And I'll show it right there. There's my fibula. You can see I took a helmet to the shin and the helmet indentation is still in my shin. So when I went to the doc to have him work on my knee, they x-rayed my whole body, and he like came in laughing. It's funny when you have an orthopedic surgeon come in, he's like, hey, let's look at your x-rays, and the dude's laughing and we're going through it. And he's like, first of all, here's your knee. This is hilarious, but that's not the funniest thing. Look at your shin. And then like his physician's assistant and nurse, he called them all in. He's like, he took a helmet to the shin. Look at this. And then the one he was fascinated by, he's like, dude, you have no degeneration in your hips. How the fuck have you avoided not having hip issues with this bad wheel?
Yeah.
And I realized it today when I was at PT. One of the guys had hip replacement, and he was trying to learn to walk again. And as I was like watching him walk, I like the trainer was a good dude, like was just watching it too. And finally I was like, yo man, you got to clean up your walking pattern. He was walking duck foot and he was kind of hobbling in this. And I was like, dude, toes forward over your big toe roll. But because we were so obsessed with toes forward and walking, I think I never let the knee affect my gait. And because my gait never affected, I never had any hip issues. What I think happens is people get a bad wheel and it changes their gait and they wear out their hip sockets.
Right.
So I think as long as you go toes forward, big toe on the ground, roll over, land on the midfoot, heel toe. And I always am hyper focused on like never shorting it. And even if if my knee was like missing extension, I just shortened my pattern. I didn't take as long a stride. I took shorter strides, but I never changed my gait in terms of like heel toe and like the movement, toes forward, always rolling over the big toe.
Don't you think it's hilarious that like the more you work in performance side of things, you have to be a little bit more careful and like, I guess show care to the person that you're working with. And then the further you go clinical and the more inside of your body that the doctor can get to you, the more darkly humorous they get. Like, dude, that's crazy. Your knee has nothing in it. You know, like they'll just come in and be like, sorry. Yeah. Like when I did my knee last in 2017, I remember coming out of surgery and then he goes, yeah, everything went great. You know, it took a little longer, went 8 hours, but it got everything done. And hey, you didn't even have an ACL, Bubba. So we gave you one of those. You know, it's just like so nonchalant. Like,
dude, when the doctor,
everything's jacked up. We're going to fix you up.
When the doctor woke me up, he opened the knee up and he showed me the pliers. They took pliers and they snapped off all of the osteophytes out of my knee. And he said, the first 20, we were laughing. Because when I snapped off, they were like, oh, and he goes, we stopped counting at 60.
Like snapping barnacles off of a boat.
That's exactly. And he goes, so you have between 60 and 80 bone fractures on your knees. Like, so that's the pain you're feeling in your knee is those fractures. He goes, but yeah, he goes, the first 20 or so we laughed. And then everybody got kind of quiet. When we got to 60, he's like, just stop counting. And he goes, and I got a few more and threw them in there. And he took that picture and like the nurse and like all the physician or his, people in the operating room all came in and they were like, did you see the picture? Holy shit, we've never seen anything like that. So, I mean, it's crazy that you have people that are orthopedic surgeons that do this stuff for a living and those people still are like blown away. And they were like, the fact that you didn't have pain and we're still like the fact that you're here because you want to be better at jiu-jitsu, like that blew their mind. And I was like, well, it's true.
John, you're very special.
Well,
for that, we're going to give you your Purple Belt Lifetime Achievement Award.
I cannot wait to go train with more range of motion. Because it was very frustrating, especially when I was playing like knee shields on my right, on my right side, because I couldn't bend my knee enough to hook anybody. And then obviously always knee cutting to the left. I couldn't go to the right. Like it just felt very one-dimensional.
I'm just really glad we didn't lose you to pickleball. Like, I mean, Stan Efferding looks great, dude. Did you see that video he posted today? Dude, out there in America Samoa looking jacked, playing pickleball. I mean, that doesn't look too bad. Every day I look at like some of these.
His wife's Samoan.
Is she?
Yeah.
America Samoa's got a good deal there, right?
Well,
you just can't vote. It's kind of like Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So I think I think they did everything they wanted, and then she moved back home and, to live in a more kind of like a tropical organic. I've never been to Samoa.
It looks gorgeous.
It looks like Hawaii without the tourists,
right? And just a little bit less infrastructure, what have you. But I think
you've never been to Samoa.
Never.
You've been to New Zealand?
No.
Australia, you've been?
Yeah.
Of any place, so there's only a few places I've ever traveled in the world where I felt like if you had told me I had to live here for the rest of my life, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
Japan. Like if they said to me, hey, your passport isn't good, you got to stay here forever, I would not have argued with him. I would have just turned around and went back.
Yeah.
I loved Japan. Like when we were in like Tokyo was pretty neat, but like when we went to like Kyoto and like some of the other places, like if you said like, hey, you got to live here for the rest of your life, I would gladly live in Japan. New Zealand's the other one. I love New Zealand. We were in the North Island and driving around, like it was, it felt like, you know, especially, I really, really liked, and Australia was really pretty too. The only thing which makes me nervous on Australia is just the fact that like they have surrendered all their guns and like basically they're at the whim of their government. That makes me a little nervous in New Zealand too. But like in terms of like beautiful untouched places, like there's places in New Zealand that like, you know, I mean, there is no construction, there is no development.
Fun fact, you know, I don't know if he's the prime minister still, but the prime minister's son is a Six Blades guy.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm hoping for is send to Fortaleza 2-3 years and forget.
Oh yeah, I think that's everybody's dream, dude. Is like you go to whatever you're doing, but I think in jiu-jitsu it's always to go back to Brazil and go like.
Well, I think it's
wear Don Havaianas for like a month or so.
Well, I think it's hilarious that all the Brazilians are fighting to get here. And then we're literally
fighting to go back.
And so like, as I told Philippe, and I had a good conversation, he's like, if you could come to America and you could make enough money, he's like, when you went back to Brazil, you could live like an absolute king for the rest of your life. He's like, and it wouldn't take that much. He goes, if you came to Brazil with like $1 million US in the bank, he's like, you could live the next 40 years of your life. He's like, you could go to Fortaleza and you would live like a king for the rest of your life and never have to work. And I was like, that's all it would take? He's like, yeah. He goes, how expensive do you think it is to live there? I was like, I don't know. He's like, you could live on like $50 a day, $100 a day. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He goes, and so he's like, the goal for most of the Brazilians was come here, make as much money as you can. And then one day you go back to Brazil because he goes, the opportunity isn't as great.
It's like
as
a sea turtle or salmon.
And well, as Salo told me, Salo's like, oh, I'm building this training center. You should come to Fortaleza for 6 months. And while I appreciated that, I'm like, do you realize that's like a very Brazilian thing to be like, oh, just leave, just come, leave.
It's the Brazilian is just like an albatross. As it takes flight from its nest, it must eventually take its rest, but it can only rest on this island where it was hatched. Oh my god!
Dude, I was so Jason posted a video and he was kind of like his year in review, and it was him and Salo
jumping in the Black River.
Yeah, Black River. And the hilarious part is Salo's wearing a songa.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and I tried to screen capture it and to send it to him. I'm like, no, you the Pariba.
Ben, you must move to Austin. Okay, you must move here. Send 2-3 years Austin. Forget.
Arash, I already told you that I'm sending my daughters to you for 2 to 3 years.
Yes, sir. Happily train them in the ways, the Six Blades methodology.
Yesterday, I told Kashi he was either sick. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with him, but I was like, hey, first of the year, first jiu-jitsu class, we got to go. And then he was like, and I was like, and then Kate's like, no, it's going around. He got it from his buddies and this, and like he shouldn't go to jujitsu.
He's whipping around on the bike.
And then like he stayed home from school today. Arash comes over, and I look at in the pasture, and he's riding his electric bike around the pasture, and I'm like, how sick are you really? Yeah. If you can ride I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I was like, he's been home for like a week and a half, and he just wants to extend it one more day. I'm like, God, this guy. And he's such a manipulator for his mom. I buy into nothing he says. His mom is like, oh, he doesn't feel good. I'm like, come on, like push him out of the nest.
Something I've been hammering all the classes that we've just taught this year, especially to the kids, but also to the adults. I was like, hey, no radical changes. All right. There's like, you don't need to like sell everything you have. And you don't need to try a super crazy experiment. Try the simple things that work. Like, that coming to jiu-jitsu is going to be good for you. It's going to make you stronger. And the only barrier to you getting better or stronger is you showing up. Yeah. Strength training is good for you. Okay. You need to show up for that. you know that eating well is good for you. Well, how many days a week can you string that together? And then over the time, take score. And at the end of the week, you're like, okay, I did my strength training 3 times this week. I ate well 5 out of the 7 days. Okay. And I did all these habits that I could keep up with. I'm like at a 90% score. Good. Like, let's move that on. Let's do that week after week and string 52 weeks like that together. And at the end of it, you're going to be super shocked at what you achieved.
Yeah.
You know? And then throwing a 3-month fucking boil the water, hammer 90. And then
but that's the thing. What you just said was the same thing I told the hammer 90 folks is you need to make your habits that you're trying to accomplish embarrassingly easy. So then when you don't accomplish them, it's not, because that's the thing. That's what people do is, like you said, they sell everything. They start this grand plan. And it's like, you're doing that so you have a reason for when it fails. You can be like, oh, it was really hard. Yeah. It's like, but if you make your habits just embarrassingly easy, right? And so for the first week it was of Hammer 90, it was like, just schedule when you're going to have 3 meals a day. And it's like, if you can't just schedule that, we're not saying do it. We're not saying, but if you just can't schedule it, then that's embarrassing, you know? And so that's the kind of stuff. Yeah, I totally agree, where it's like the big stuff will come as a result of all these little things, but you need to just have this airtight, routine of just the easiest tasks possible that when you stack on top of each other, actually make change.
The best one I've heard in 2025, and I actually wrote it down, is somebody said to this guy, he's like, you don't need hard 75. You need moderate 365. And, cause like, I was loving the, I call them the resolutionists. I was loving the resolutionists on social media, all talking about like starting hard, it's Andy Frisella's deal, hard 75, right?
75 hard. Yeah.
75 hard. And so these people were like, kind of like tag teaming on it. And this guy's like, how about you just give me 365 moderate?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just put together a set of things that you can accomplish and just do them every single day? Whether it's, as easy as just getting out and doing something physical. Like, I'm going to train, but even on the off days, I'm just going to get out and walk or do something. How about you just do something every day for 365 days? How about instead of being like, reading a Bible passage and doing, this, and you got a journal and all, drink water and all this, how about you just not be a fucking weirdo for the next year? And I like read it and I was like, oh, screen cap. I was like, this is the best. And these people were like, oh, and it's because 75 days is something that's easily digested, right? Like, okay, like a month, 2.5 or like, 2.5 months. But when you start talking about like 365 days for a year or 2 years or 5 years or 7 years, and a shout out to my good friend, Bill Bradley, who made a commitment in like 1994 to work out every single day, a minimum of walk a mile, and didn't miss a workout for like 25 years. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Ben, Dr. Ben, Professor Dr.
Arash.
Yeah, Dr. Professor. So to your point about embarrassingly simple, I'm gonna use that in my class today. But like, I added 3 embarrassingly simple habits to my New Year's resolution, air quotes, is 3 10-minute walks a day, read a book for 30 minutes. Okay, that's like elapsed time. And then what was the last one? Oh, just go to sleep at 9:30 every night. Just 9:30, go to bed. Because like those are the 3 things that I was slouching on last year. Of all the things that we achieved, like we've done so much in 2025. I was like, that's what I really suck at. I suck at walking, reading a book, and going to bed on time every night. And it's like you said, I really like the set a time to eat. It's like, dude, you can't even schedule your meals.
Yeah.
How are you gonna track 285 grams of protein?
Well, that's just it. They want like, tell me all these high level, and it's like you can't even sit down and say I'm going to eat lunch at 1:30. Like, like how you're not ready for any of this stuff if you can't do that.
One of the interesting things, and I don't know if there's value in this, but I did read something that talked about when you get up in the morning to not eat first thing when you get up, like to at least give yourself like 60 to 90 minutes. And so like, I was like, oh, that's an easy one. Like, I don't know if it matters, but I'm like, that'd be an interesting one. So for the last year, when I get up in the morning, I drink like a big glass of like water with Element, and I think I put my creatine in there. So I drink like a big glass of water, and I don't eat for like 90 minutes. Like it's not very hard. You wake up at 6. Like I don't eat my first meal, let's say, until later, but do my aerobic work. But like that's kind of an interesting piece where I think people feel like they wake up first thing in the morning and they got to eat something. I kind of like the ability to like not have to feel like I'm rushed to eat.
Yeah.
And so
well, I think that's the key, the feeling like you have to, right? Like there's just so much, the Hammer 90 folks enlightened me so much. People just want permission to do things that they know they already should do, but because nobody is giving them permission to do them, they think they can't, right? Like how many times in the Discord or something do we get a question about like, hey, I love Field Strong, but I'm just really having a hard time getting Saturdays in. So should I push Saturday to Monday and then continue like that? Or should I do this? And it's just like, do whatever, like things matter, but like nothing really matters. Like if we zoom out, you're training 5 days a week still, you're doing all right. If you miss a day or if you make up a day, it's not going to be like a huge deal, right? But they just need that kind of reassurance because a lot of people wake up, and I guess I'm guilty of this at times too, but like they wake up and they're already stressed about all the things they have to do. And it's like, just wake up, just wake up and do some stuff.
Yeah. I know we haven't really pushed this a lot, but butthole sunning after 8 a.m. when the morning sun is high. You don't want to do that on a full stomach either.
Okay. So in 2025, we had Dr. Dasani on the podcast, and he's actually fixing ACL ruptures by doing a series of stem cell injections and then using red light as the catalyst to kind of get it to heal, and has some really amazing stuff. So after my knee surgery, I reached out to him, and he's like, I want you to do first thing in the morning. I want you to get up and turn on the red light panel, and I want you to sit there like until the knee gets warm. Like I want you to like just blast it. So like for like 30 minutes, right? So I'll wake up at like this morning, I got up at like 5:30. I got in there and I literally just blasted that thing. But the other funny thing that I started doing is I started looking at it, at the red light panel.
You're not supposed to.
For like 30 seconds. And then the hilarious part is I like look up and the colors in the room are amazing.
No,
so
you're
it's
not
almost
supposed to look at it.
That's you going blind, John.
I was like, you know what? Like this is almost like I'm taking psilocybin or something. Like I'm like all of a sudden I'm like, man, these colors are crazy.
Well, that's a whole influencer is the sun staring. There are people out there who think you're supposed to stare at the sun.
I was just doing it because I wanted to see neat colors. So I figured 30 seconds of staring at the red light and I get some like weird colors.
Oh no, don't leave John alone by himself with David Carradine this whole situation.
So I've been blasting the knee, and I was like, but I don't know if there's really any research to talk about sunning your butthole.
No, but I definitely think the red light is super.
Have you ever burned your butthole when you try to sun it? Have you ever had you got to put a little because I mean that's skin that doesn't necessarily get a chance to get exposed.
I'm trying to think of what I've burned before. Like my lower back, like my tramp stamp area. I burned that, but never the actual.
I know a couple people that
actual calamari.
Went to a nudist beach, nuded up, and one of the problems was ended up getting a little bit of too much sun on their junk, and the pain of a little bit of sunburn exposure on the junk. Not a good play.
You ever notice how brown it stays even though it never gets any sun? Or is that just me?
That's just you.
Is yours brown?
No, I'm white.
I'm just curious.
Is yours brown?
Yeah, like that. Anyway, sorry, just ruminations. But
it could be from all those buttholes when you were younger.
Oh God. Okay, but my lat recently, I've been going to see Dr. Kenji and blasting my armpit with the red light, and I definitely do feel a difference when it gets hit with it. It's like a couple days later, it feels like it's still warm and still loose and doesn't tighten up on me. And then I remember it's like the cold red laser. Like when they hit that, it's
cold
like
lasers.
It's absolutely magic. I've heard the science be that it's accelerating like a mitochondrial function through like skin cells.
Yeah.
But dude, there has to be, I think every house should have a red light panel if that's the case, especially for people that can't get too much sun.
I think the red light panel is money. I did watch kind of an interesting, it was a doc that was talking about, I mean, because, you know, one of the interesting things that we researched way too much in 2025 was retatrutide.
RIP.
Yeah. So
retatrutide.
Yeah. So
Wait, RIP?
Yeah.
In
So,
what sense?
well, the FDA went out to all of the compounding pharmacies and peptide sellers, and they couldn't sell anything past January 1, 2026. So the kind of the black gray market for retatrutide is effectively dried up. So because we had some guys, shout out to, you know, Ben's best friend Thanos on the Discord, who was kind of really the guy that brought it to the forefront for us, because he did this at-home experiment where he was jacking a bunch of Retta and had some pretty amazing results. So to kind of understand it, I did a massive deep dive, and there's a pretty interesting, and this doc was talking about the glucagon's relation to mitochondrial function. And he was saying, you know, because what the person was talking about was people in the studies were losing like amazing amounts of weight, and some of the people have had some incredible transformations using retatrutide, and other people have extremely lackluster and have not really seen much effect of it. And so this doctor was kind of giving like why he thinks that it's worked for some and not for others, and he went back to mitochondrial dysfunction. And especially the people in his clinic that they had been using retatrutide that were taking corticosteroids like prednisone and some of the other things, which actually work as like antagonists because they jack up insulin. And there's some really interesting side effects for things like the corticosteroids like prednisone. And he listed like four or five others. And so for the people in his practice that were on some form of corticosteroid as a way to kind of fix bad skin or whatever it is, I mean, that they were treating, he didn't get into
or asthma
or whatever they were treating the individuals for that required the use of like corticosteroids, the retatrutide did not work anywhere as advertised for those individuals. So what he was talking about was, you know, if your, you know, mitochondrial function is disrupted as from some drugs that are treating things other, the retatrutide is going to get kind of null and void. And it was kind of work it out. So he talked about one of the interesting parts for something like retatrutide is you can test how healthy your mitochondria is based upon the results that it gives you.
Oh, shit.
So I thought that was kind of now, I don't know if it was AI, if it was bullshit or whatever the guy, but I thought that was an interesting observation and one that I hadn't heard. You know, the problem is because I went so deep on the retatrutide thing, like we went down a rabbit hole. And the most interesting information actually I found was through Chase Irons, who's a bodybuilder that actually I got turned on to from who was the guy that we had on the podcast that was the visceral fat doc, Dr.
I'm blanking on his name.
I can see his face, Sean O'Mara. Yeah, so we had Sean O'Mara on. He ended up doing a podcast and doing a bunch of work with Chase Irons, and was like, you know, like in terms of like the level of unhealthy individuals I've worked with, like he's pretty high up there, just from like the steroid stuff. But so he mentioned it. I looked him up, and he had a ton of stuff because I guess he has a peptide site called Omega Amino, right? And has a YouTube page. So he gives a lot of information on retatrutide. So I kind of figured out that some of the best information was coming from these bodybuilders who were using it to diet these guys for different contests. So when they added retatrutide, and I think the one guy he mentioned was Nick Walker, who's an absolute fucking mutant. When Tex and I went to the Mr. Olympia, we like walked out of the back, and we were kind of standing there kind of like around like where all the competitors were, and Nick Walker was standing next to me. And he looked like, do you remember Ram Man from He-Man?
No.
Okay, so like there was a He-Man cartoon, and
I know the He-Man cartoon, but I don't know the ins and outs.
So he had a guy called Ram Man who like squatted down, and he had a flat head, and then he would explode into things and knock him down. He also had a dude, one of his guys' name was Fisto, which always was weird to me. But Ram Man had like a flat head and a helmet, and he would like curl up. He would like squat down, and he would explode and like knock walls down.
Like Juggernaut or something like that.
Literally, Nick Walker looked like Ram Man. He was like probably like this big. I mean, he was massive, and like he had these massive legs. And the problem was he had terrible varicose veins. So the bottom of his legs, when you looked at him, when I looked him down, like he had all these varicose veins below his calves, and it would look like his like calves were melting. And I was like, this dude's a mutant. And I think that's his nickname, the mutant. But I have never in my life seen anybody who was that wide and like that proportion.
Short, yeah.
It was crazy looking. But he was talking about like Nick Walker, like, you know, he was always having trouble getting in shape for this. And like they talked about using retatrutide, and they were able to, you know, use it to get these guys in shape on stage without a lot of the problems that we went through.
We're talking about like the food noise.
Well, I mean, shit, I saw that in Eat the Weakness and I fucked myself. I went too low on calories too quick and I was too much aerobic work. And when it stalled, I had nowhere to go other than just suffer. And like, I was like, at that point, I realized like something like, I mean, retatrutide would have been helpful to be able to kind of remove a little bit of that food noise and to kind of like, you know, fucking make it less painful. But we did it the old fashioned way. We just suffered our way through it, which I don't recommend anybody does.
But even for like the food addicted dude, like dudes that actually really need to make, I know for us, it was more of a contest. It was just to push ourselves to the next level. But I think for those that really could use a physical change, you know, either obese or morbidly obese. I mean, dude, imagine just like shutting off the noise and just being able to lose.
So let's talk about this, right? This term food noise is not something that I've ever heard before 2025.
I've heard it before.
You really? Yeah. Bennett, do you ever heard the term food noise before 2025?
Not that I remember, and definitely not in the average person's like lexicon. But now it's like on Discord, people are always talking about food noise.
My wife was talking about food noise, and I was like, "Where?" Like because she was asking, she's like, "You know, I have terrible food noise." I was like, "Kate, you have food noise?" She's like, "Oh yeah, like there isn't a single moment where I don't walk by the refrigerator and I want to eat something in there." I'm like, I just thought that was living.
I heard.
I walk by the refrigerator all the time, and I'm like, "Oh, well, I bet you there's something good in there I want to eat," but I just don't open it.
I used to back in 2012. I was like training at a grappling school, right, in North Hollywood, Go-Court, Hyastan, and there was like lawyers in there, and the lawyers would be like, "Hey, if you really want to, you know, stay trim and not have a bad habit at night, instead of listening to all the food noise, they call the food noise, just drink a bunch of water and it'll trick your body into not being so hungry," or something like that. And that was the first time that I heard it. I was like, oh, I guess it was just like jargon back then, right?
I remember years ago, there was a trainer. There was a trainer who made an interesting point where he said, if you're hungry, drink a bunch of water. And if you're not hungry anymore, you're just bored.
Yeah, bored and dehydrated.
Yeah, like because a lot of people eat out of boredom, and like this happens to me. I mean, 100%. Like I was on the couch, like icing my knee, and what I do is like if I'm like I would just get up to like kind of like stretch my knee and walk around, and I would like go to the fridge, and instead of going to the fridge, I would just make a left and I would drink a Zevia, which are like my fucking cheat meal or Zevias. Yeah. And I would just like drink a Zevia, and like that was as good as like the boredom, you know, because they have no calories.
Well, if you have time to be bored, you have time to make content, John Wellborn. It's all your fault. This is the house that you build, brother. Okay, and if every waking moment you're not building towards your goals, then you are a sack of shit.
I am a sack of shit. I'm a piece of shit. No,
I hope you heard that, Dr. Ben.
I like creating content in the terms of written content and potentially doing like cool things within the business. I hate the feeling of developing content as a means for just pure social media.
Right.
Where I'm just here to as like a fucking sideshow to entertain you. Like that's why for like I realize there's, you know, like I like YouTube for the education, right? Like if there's something I'm fascinated in, I go to YouTube and I find out who the expert and I kind of dial in. The most viewed YouTube videos are usually people just letting people see their lives, which I think is so weird. I'm not really interested in like, oh, here I am getting ready in the morning and this, and like a lot of people do it. And I think that's super weird. I'm not interested in your life.
I would subscribe to yours.
What, just me in the morning and be like, here I am, just you know,
shuffling,
looking at my red light,
just turning on your espresso machine.
But like that's like the most viewed stuff where people, and like that's some of the OnlyFans stuff where like people are just paying to like have access. I assume, I hope, access into people's lives, opposed from just, you know, getting butthole pics.
Yeah.
But like, that's a massive thing. Whereas like, I don't really care to share that with the world.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you know, it's not like, I do really think McPhee's whole social media strategy is hilarious.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Where he's just like,
just records all the time and just sends it over to.
well, but I mean, and it's kind of funny because I actually, it's good and bad, but I'm always like, I realize that's his deal, but like, I'm not really exciting enough. Like McPhee's doing fun shit. Like I was watching, like he was, and I was like, you know, you could just send me these videos too. And like, you should just send them to your friends, but like he's doing it through YouTube. So it makes sense.
I think it's great. I think, but it also goes to what you're.
I can't wait till McPhee's local and we get to see him more.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think it's just ultimately it comes down to what are you trying to deliver, right? And if you really want community, then that means you can't keep that many. That you can't keep that many eyes, in my opinion. You know, if it's a community, I think a little bit of Dunbar's number has to apply. Is that the right one? Dunbar's like the community, like you can only think about it 200 something people.
Oh,
am I conflating that with something else?
No, I think it's Dunbar's.
yeah.
Dunbar's.
No, that's
I
Dunbar's.
thought it was only like 50 people.
No, it's
like 150.
Was it the book Tribes?
Yeah. Tribal.
I'd have to remember the book that I read, but it was something about like just historically within our evolution, we only have like maybe was it 50 access points that were like, we can only, you know, like you know, there was an idea that, you know, humanity grew in these kind of small, socialized cultures where, you know, everybody was kind of individualized like worked within a collective.
Yeah.
And that we only have the ability to support so many, and this is true if you look at your life, if you were to just take stock of the people that you're actually in contact with, and when you add one tends to drop.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating too. Like the other day in the Discord, one of the questions the guys brought up was like, would you ever have Luke and Tex back on the podcast? And I was like, no. I did hundreds of podcasts with Luke and Tex. I don't, I mean, what would we do? A reunion one?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, I mean, it like,
I think it just goes to
like no bad blood, but like the inputs have changed. Those guys are not in the sphere of influence anymore. So to bring them back, is it like a reunion tour?
I think it's also,
I don't know.
Like in terms of like producing content, and sorry for like going all over the place, but I guess it's a podcast, but like if you're producing content, you know, and you have your community, and maybe you have a community of members of like Power Athlete Nation and Six Blades or what have you, whatever content that you put out there, you just have to be wary that you won't necessarily be able to respond to every single person. You won't be able to necessarily moderate their experience. You can moderate the experience for your immediate people and like make sure that they stay on their path. But that's what I've come to find is like, hey, my students, when they're right in front of me or whatever they see of me and whatever I produce, it has to be digestible for them and appropriate for them on their journey. Yeah. Otherwise, if I just put something that's shooting from the hip and it's like, hey, this is me doing this, like I could potentially like,
or like all of a sudden you put on social media, it's like you out drunk at a bar.
Yeah. It's like, how is that going to help any of the kids in my community?
Yeah,
how is that going to help any of the people that
they're
are
like,
there's
Professor Coach Arash and he's shit-faced or acting like, I mean, so like.
It's like the modern version of hiding your little red cup. Remember that phase, like where we all had to hide our little red cup in photos? I mean, it's just the modern version of that. It's like, dude, just don't take a photo of everything in your life in case like your life has to be a little bit more curated and you have to be a good influence to people. Maybe not just confess the whole of your life to this giant amalgamation of human experience.
But that's what people want.
Yeah.
I mean, like the most, I mean, so I get on Cash about this and fucking beat on him. But on YouTube, he watches adults play with like video games or like, you know, or like toys or this or like streamers and this. And I'm like, Cash, like, why are you watching these guys?
Why don't you play?
And I was like, why don't you just go play? And he's like, oh, I'm like picking up moves in this. And I was like, yeah, but like, you could do a lot better if you just went like we were watching videos like, so he got a Tutio or something, like this dirt bike thing. and we were watching videos of these guys. I'm like, you could go outside and just go ride your fucking bike.
Yeah.
And he's like hanging out watching these people. And I'm like, dude, like at some point, I don't want to watch anybody. Like this was always kind of, and I don't know how you guys feel about, but like one of my criticisms of porn was always like,
voyeur.
I was like, you can make your own movies.
Yeah. Right? Say what you want about Donald Trump. He had that one quote, like, jacking off's for losers.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, but like, there's, I'm like, hey, like to each their own.
Yeah.
But you can go make your own movies. Yeah. You can go find a partner and be the star of your own deal. And so that was always kind of like a little bit of like, whenever Steve Weatherford, who was the punter for New York, we had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's big, religious, like I think he's a minister now. He's got a gang of kids.
Sure.
He had porn addiction.
Yeah.
And when he posted this thing, and I was like kind of curious. I'm like, what do you mean porn addiction? Like, what is that? And he's like, I was leaving the house and driving around for hours in my car with my phone on, just watching porn because I couldn't go home and watch it. And I'm like, how long? He's like, I was driving for like hours in the car by myself, just driving around the neighborhood watching porn. I was like, holy shit, like that's crazy. And he was like, I was like literally, he's like, I was consuming my day watching porn. Like, I was like, how many hours? We were kind of going back and forth. He's like, it was like, 12, 14, 16 hours. Like I was at the gym with it in my pocket, listening to it on the headset. Yeah. Like I was driving in the car and I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like, I was like, how does that, like, that blew my fucking mind. I was like, what and he came out and he talked about it. And it was like, this weird thing with his family and his wife and having to like come to Jesus on this thing. And I was like, you could have just been making your own movies. Like I didn't say that to him, but like I don't know, like that's kind of a weird thing for me. Yeah, like I was like, it's like the OnlyFans stuff. Like, are they paying? Because like there's if you're trying to look at pictures of hot chicks, I mean that stuff's free on the internet.
Yeah.
So why are you paying? Like, why are these girls making $85 million a year? Like, is it porn or is
Gary V?
Is it the interaction? Like, is there something that they're providing that like they're not getting in their life? Is there a social interaction? Do they have like a team of dudes in India pretending to be them that are like, like, oh, okay, you want to pay? Like because I don't have an OnlyFans and I've never logged onto it. So I don't know. So and I have yet to actually, and this is another hilarious thing. You can look me up. I'm sure somebody will go in there and register my email. One of my questions was always like, well, one, I've never met anybody that's actually admitted to having an OnlyFans account. Because I've asked, but the only people I know is you guys. And I know that Victor and Philippe don't have OnlyFans. I know you don't have one. Do you have an own?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But you almost got me.
I asked Shanji, and Shanji was like, what is this OnlyFans thing? Right. And then Shanji's like, so what, you paying for pictures of girls? You could just go meet girls. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but that's an old school mentality.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're providing in that experience that like necessitates these girls making $85 million.
Well, it's all connection, right? I think that comes down to, so if you're creating content that connects with a lot of people, then it's going to be successful. But in this case, like the model is like you're streaming, and let's just take video game streaming just so I could get the image of Tex doing OnlyFans out of my head. But so like if you're streaming and playing a game, then
do Tex and Xanis have an OnlyFans?
Oh my gosh, Xanis definitely. But okay, miss you, Xanis.
He sent me a weird text yesterday of just a picture of like an old truck. Like with like no like, hey, I haven't talked to you. How are you doing? How was Christmas? How was nothing? Yeah. Just a video of like an old Chevy truck, and I was like
thinking of you.
I was like, didn't even say it. Just sent me the video.
Yeah, okay.
And I was kind of waiting for like a dick pic or like him to like streak through naked, and it wasn't anything. And I was like, oh, this is weird.
Anyway, but like just imagine for a second like you're streaming this video game, or maybe it's even you're playing, and then like Cash is over there like asking questions, and the guy connects with you, and it's kind of like a ask Shanji or ask John Wellborn, and you guys are talking about something, you're answering questions, and that connection is the exchange that they want to make. But I think if you really want to connect with people, you just got to be careful about the content that you put out there. It can't just be any random thing. It also has to be super intentional.
But it also,
I'm not in the entertainment biz.
It creates my issue with content creation is it creates a parasocial relationship, right? Because like you are not, what you put out is part of your identity. Your identity is not solely what you put out, right? Except for those people maybe who stream their entire day, right? Like those people are truly whatever you see. But that's kind of my issue, is then people create a parasocial relationship with this kind of caricature or exaggerated aspect of you, the individual. And then it goes into the whole like almost like identity politics stuff, you know, like I think about like the Hiller exchanges, right? And like there wasn't much exchange between you and Hiller, but it was his followers were coming to like white knight for him. And it's like this weird thing.
His whole content strategy, I mean, I get it. He's I don't know what it is. I don't know what he does. I know he has somehow attacked anybody, and it's fucking ridiculous. But at some point, he will come to Austin, and we'll get a chance to fucking grapple with him.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
But
then he's going to make a video now that John Wellborn wants to fight me, which is fucking crazy to me.
Because it's not a
so
fight.
That's the thing, and I think the three of us understand, and other people understand, is we've lived a life where it's like, I've been in rooms with people who have said stuff about me when I'm not there. And then it's like, hey, say it. And then you realize they don't. And so now when I go online and I see the Hillers or the Taylor Selfs or the Savans, and it's like, yeah, you guys sit in your little chair with your microphone and you put out this persona. But I've been in rooms with you guys, not necessarily like you guys, but like I've been in rooms with guys like you, and you guys are quiet. You're always quiet, right? And like, that's the thing. And it reminds me, and Arash, I sent it to you, it was on Instagram, that doorman who does jujitsu, and like the kid was like trying, it was like one of those prank guys. And
like the Russian guy with the glasses.
And this kid was like, hey man, don't touch me, I'll fold you in half. And it turns out this doorman for this restaurant is like a black belt. So he was like, oh, you know jujitsu? Show me.
Yeah, he's like,
he's like,
let me tell you something. If you ever run into anybody who actually says jujitsu,
soft J. No,
be real fucking nervous, because the only people I've ever heard use that is like Shanji and like those people are just like, oh, you do jujitsu?
Russians and Brazilians.
It's not Brazilian jiu-jitsu, BJJ, whatever, everything is jiu-jitsu. And like when Shanji says it, I'm always like, if I ever hear that like same tone, you know, you got to fucking be like, oh, this guy's about to fucking kill me. I'm going to twist me up like a fucking pretzel.
Yeah. But that's my thing with the content. It creates parasocial relationships, and the people who make it, it's like, yeah, you're winning an argument without arguing with anybody, right? Like, it's just
Hiller lost me.
Exciting.
Hiller and those tards lost me when they attacked Rich Froning, and I'll tell you why. I had never met Rich. They invited me out. I went and did his podcast and hung out with him. He might be one of the nicest people and most genuine people I've ever been around. Like I was at his gym. I was at his house at his gym. He's got his boys there. His dogs were there. His wife came in with his kids. Like, he is probably one of the nicest, most genuine, salt of the earth. Like, dude trains. It's very rare at this point in my life where I meet somebody that I'm overly impressed by. Like, they're just people. I was like, dude, Rich is the real deal. Like, not
well, but remember when we did the seminar down there, like that's his whole crew was that way. Yeah. Like, we showed up and they were like, hey, that's the room. Like, what do you need? Like, and it's just like, cool. Like, you guys are.
But I mean, like, he has gone on and like dominated CrossFit and this, and like, like just a good dude, but like came in, was great on the podcast, and was one of the, like, the fact that we got done with the podcast and one of his dudes went and basically just brought in like a spread of like went to Chick-fil-A and bought like everything. So we get out and I was like, oh man, like there's food. He's like, yeah, I figured you guys might be hungry. So I went and got a bunch of Chick-fil-A. And like, he's got his boys, like went to high school. Some of these guys were like guys in his church and this, I mean, his wife came in and the kids, I mean, so he's got his faith, he trains, like lives on a bitchin' piece of property. I look outside, there's like a buffalo. Another one of his dudes was like into like diesel trucks like I was. Like, all of a sudden I came in and I was like, like I can spot like my people.
Sounds like the Khabib Nurmagomedov of CrossFit.
Totally. And I was like, and so
everybody has a common denominator.
Yeah. And there was like, he is a very special individual. And when you have people like that, people are attracted to him. And so Hiller, for all his fucking nonsense, whatever, he can attack me. I'm like, the day that he fucking takes a shot at Rich Froning, I'm like, now I feel offended. It's kind of like you take a shot at my wife, we're going to fucking go. I don't mind if you take shots on me, but I'm like, Froning's a good fucking dude. Like that guy has no business even fucking bringing Froning into anything. And then his vapid fucking dipshit followers trying to attack Rich for having me on his podcast. I'm like, man, you can attack me, dude, but like Rich is a saint. Like that dude is up on the Mount Rushmore of, you know, not only CrossFit, but just a really fucking nice dude that I would be glad to hang out with. So much so I told Rory, I was like, if there's ever an opening to be in this entourage, I would gladly be in this entourage. This looks like a great time. I'm like, we could totally be in this. Like if we took the boys over, it's kind of like when we had McPhee there. Yeah. Remember we went to dinner and I was like, McPhee was like we all went to dinner and it was like McPhee had been there the whole time. And I was like, I'd add this guy to our friend group. No. But Rich and his crew are the real deal. And like what they do in terms of everything, like I was so impressed. And I was like, man, I'm so sad that we haven't been friends longer. And I like, so the fact that Hiller took a shot at him, I'm like, you can take shots at me all day long, dude. And I played in the NFL. I dealt with fucking people in the media and
actual
dipshit
reporters.
Fans. Yeah, actual people. And some shitty YouTube page, I'm like, he can take shots on me. You need to be very respectful of Rich because he's the real deal.
Well, and that's another aspect of it too, is the value system. Right? Like, because I do watch when somebody drops in the Discord, like, oh, Hiller made another video. I like to watch and see what he says. And something he keeps coming back to is like YouTube viewers. And it's like, I get it. Like, I understand if that's your main hustle, like that's a metric that you really care about. But to be a grown adult, like I couldn't think of a situation where I could care about views. Right? Because
we get a lot. We get a solid amount of downloads, but for the majority of people, don't watch our content on YouTube. But we still put it on YouTube because YouTube's the largest search engine on the planet. So all this is on YouTube. But like it's not like we get like 100,000 views on this stuff. We just don't get a ton of views on this. We get downloads because people listen to this thing on Apple, Spotify, and other places. But like he's very dialed in on that. So he has to constantly be creating somewhat inflammatory content. And it's got to be overwhelming for the fact that literally he's sniffing the internet, looking for any ways to attack Dale Spiegel or any of these girls that like he just like tries to eviscerate because they miss 1 inch in a quarter squat. Can you imagine him getting up and being like, oh, I have to scour the internet looking for somebody who might not be holding the imaginary standard that we've created? Like,
well, that's exactly what, like, so let's
he's
say
gonna
the
have suicide
podcast,
videos.
Like, let's say the podcast got 0 downloads. You would still do it because you like in having these conversations with these interesting people.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about is his metric is view counts. So I have to believe he's not really interested in doing just that, waking up, scouring the internet for High Rocks videos of people who are just trying to do a thing and then like eviscerate them. Right. But he does. And so it's so, you know, we talk about authenticity all the time and it's just the antithesis of that, right? It's so inauthentic. And so that's why it's just not even exciting, right? Like you and I talk about all the time. Like I love to engage in, verbal pugilism, right? Yes. I love to argue when I can. But when it's so inauthentic like that, it's just not even fun. And it's the same thing, you know, like with his buddy Taylor Self, right?
Did you notice when you kicked him in his vagina, he just disappeared? I don't think he ever recovered from you.
And so it took a hard right turn. And so then because I'm a human, it's like, hey man, are you doing okay? And he like, I actually sent him an email and he sent me a pretty colorful response, but it's like, no, dude, like this was all fun. And then I realized like, you're not good enough to do this. So it's not fun anymore. So now I want to say I'm sorry and like try and mend this.
Which is even more eviscerating of his manhood is the fact that like you were like, man, I'm really sorry that I thought this verbal pugilism was us just sparring and I didn't realize that I stuck a knife that deep into your side.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. So it's like, if there's no, it's a sport, right? And then when there's no sport, because it's too easy, it's like, well, this isn't even fun. And that's what, like with the Hiller stuff, because, you know, he just creates his own narrative and then his followers all amplify it because they don't know anything, which the ironic part of all of this is
he's just all those are dummy accounts that he's just commenting on, or he comments on his own stuff via dummy accounts.
He sits on this mountain, like he has all the information. He's like this historical tome of information about CrossFit. And he doesn't know. He came after me in Reddit, right? And I talked about the SSA seminar at Mayhem. Yeah. And he was like, well, I don't even know what the SSA seminar is. And it's like, so you're admitting like you don't really have this knowledge base that you portray, but you're talking to people who have even less knowledge than you. So you're the authority, right? And it's just like, that's so in all arenas, that's just so boring. So it's just like, whatever, man.
Well, and then also when he was coming back at me, like they brought on Saban and Glassman in this, and like I was legitimately have been telling the exact same story, which is not even a story. It's just me historical information of how the creation of CrossFit football. Yeah. And so I went on Judd's deal and he asked, how did this CrossFit football thing? And I told him the story. And then they get all, panties up in a wad. And then they bring Glassman on and he's like, I don't remember. I'm like, you might not remember because you were hammered, but you can't say it's not true because this is how the entire thing started.
Yeah.
And then they were like, bah, 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 harumph, harumph, harumph. And he's sitting around with Taylor Mitzef and them, and they were like attacking me. And I'm like, dude, the proof is the fact that I taught hundreds of seminars. If this story didn't happen this way, this would have never have happened. I have the proof. This is it. And he came to the seminar, I think. That's why he's a big Luke Summers guy. This
is what makes it no fun for me is it's like from your rhetoric days, it's like there's a certain set of rules when having a discussion, disagreement, argument, right? Like we have to live in truths. We can't make things up. And so that's kind of the thing where it's like, hey, let's just take this next step. If Glassman never came to John about making this seminar, how was there a CrossFit football seminar, right? Like maybe the exact words that John remembers aren't, but the sentiment was true. Greg came to John created a seminar. So like, that's the thing. They create alternate logics in all their arguments, and I could never see Glassman saying that. Did you ever see Glassman? Yeah.
Do you remember Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid when they get into it and he's like, hey, before we start this fight, there's rules. Yeah. And then he goes over to the guy and he goes, what rules? And he goes, there's no kicking in the balls. And he kicks the dude in the balls. Like that's a good example of in the argument thing, there's no rules, but we're still going to duke this thing out. And I think what the problem, and Glassman's like, I don't remember it like that. I'm like, well, yeah, one, you were hammered. And two, it was only you and me and the other third party was Lauren. And we can call her and bring her in on this, but they don't, so it's kind of ridiculous too that they attacked it in a way. But I was like, you know what? I'm believe me, dude, I've more than been attacked, and I can shoulder this thing. Where he kind of lost me as I'm like I said, dude, when all of a sudden I'm like, dude, I got paid a lot of money to be a thug and to beat people up. I make no illusions about it. Rich Froning's a good dude. He's you never hear anything bad about him. I mean, the guy married, they for some reason they couldn't have children and they adopted kids. They adopted, yeah. I mean, dude, the nicest people on the planet. We couldn't have our children, so we're going to give these children homes. I'm like, dude, you really lose a lot of credibility taking shots on Rich Froning. He's just a good dude and a big heart, and has created an amazing business and has a ton of people around him that would literally fucking go to war for him in a heartbeat. And I was like, yo, man, I told him, I was like, dude, anything we can ever do together, I'm more than happy to do, for the mere fact that that dude has so much integrity, and I'm so sorry that I drug you in on this fucking dipshit. I mean,
that's the thing. And, we always talk about authenticity and
the least authentic dude on the internet.
Well, all of them, right?
What's his first name? Hiller?
Andrew.
I just thought Hiller is all I know him as. But I'm sure he'll listen to this and he'll make a response video. So we're in Austin. When my knee gets better, maybe he can come down here. And I think he's a manlet. He's a little dude, right?
He's the reason I've been quiet this whole time is because I'm not really familiar.
Yeah, he's probably,
because if he is what you guys say he is, then I want to be equipped enough to say my own things.
Yeah,
but I'm like, hey man, I don't want to disparage this guy.
He's probably between a Noah and maybe he's a Noah size. Who would be a 5? He's got to be 5'7", 5'8"?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's 5'8", 180, I would guess.
Yeah. Who would be that grappler? That's Noah, right? Is Noah 180?
Yeah, but Noah's special.
Yeah.
He's special.
Yeah, he's from the Amazon. He's got Manausian magic.
Manausian magic, dude.
Yeah, which is what everybody hopes for.
Hey, you said something about like people going to war, happily going to battle for somebody, and just made me think like, what would it, you know, because I don't want to go too far off, but like, what makes somebody want to do? Like, how do you become that guy?
By being authentic and providing good information and value to people. You know, like I have been very fortunate through Power Athlete and the things that we've done in terms of like helping people that when that shit happens, I mean, we have people that will gladly, one of which has been, if I had to go into some form of verbal fisticuffs and some verbal altercation and a physical one, I'm going to tap Ben in. I mean, like I would gladly be like, Ben, like clean this mess up and we'll go scorched earth, motherfucker.
I remember one time Ben came to my rescue too, and MCK.
Yeah.
Like I decided, this was like last year. It was one of the biggest mistakes of my life because for 3 days I was just getting attacked.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what you have to do is you got to call in your fucking SEAL Team 6.
Yeah. John just like, goes, hey, I got this. Let me send MCK and Ben Skutnik in here.
Like it was like MCK got into it with somebody on Twitter. And like he like texted and I was like, dude, tag me in on this.
Yeah.
And literally I tagged in and like the dude deleted everything instantly. And I think it's because like, you know, there's a lot of frauds and there's a lot of people out there with bullshit information and this. And like, you got to have people that are willing to go to fight. But I mean,
but some of it, I mean, just like
think about
in
this,
general.
Arash. Like if somebody showed up at Six Blades
right,
and they were there to fight Victor, right? Like Victor doesn't need you to protect him.
Right.
But if somebody showed up and be like, we're going to stomp this dude. Like, I'm not even going to let you do it. I'm going to take your busy work.
So they're showing up for people, providing value and being.
Can you imagine if somebody showed up at the gym to fight Shanji? You'd be like, I'm going to fucking slit this dude's throat on the parking lot. He's not even going to get in the door.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like it's kind of like if your people and the people that you train with and that you call your friends and the people that you consider your circle, like, hopefully, you know, if there's a problem, they're the first people you call. Like shit, like I mean, that's who we need. Like, but
that's real connection, though, right? Like, and that's kind of what I'm getting at with a lot of these folks don't have the real connection, so they have these internet friends and like these parasocial relationships on the internet, and it's like you're going to fight for somebody you don't really know, right? Like the whole thing. Yeah. So Arash, when John tapped me in on that, it's like, I know Arash. I like Arash. He's a good dude.
What was that over?
Dude, I forget.
That was the dude that I dropped the Bayesian statistics on him, and then he put that in ChatGPT and started agreeing with me without knowing it. Remember that one?
Oh yeah. Where you defeated ChatGPT?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only time I've ever heard anybody legitimately so the guy was trying to battle Ben and he was using ChatGPT, but Ben's argument was so well constructed and logical that ChatGPT ended up supporting it against the guy. And then the guy was cut and pasting, and then he's like, did I just win this argument?
Yeah.
Did I just convert? And it was the only time I've ever seen anybody peel back. But yeah, you jumped in there and then we had to.
I felt like a lion cub getting run over by a bunch of wildebeest.
Well, we've been fighting a long time on the internet.
Yeah.
They're like it was brutal back in the day.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like it's because like I do that because it's like I know the people, right? But like there are people that I'm a fan of, like other podcasts and stuff, and I'll go on their Instagram and like someone will make some dumb comment, and it's like I have no want to try and get into it here because I don't really know this person. I just enjoy their content.
Yeah. So Hiller came at you on Reddit. Does he know that you fucking rule Reddit like a stormtrooper? That like, I mean, Ben curb stomps people on Reddit to the point where I'll be like, oh god damn, I didn't know that. This is kind of vicious. I don't know what you're going to put this in there.
Yeah, I think he thought he was pretty slick because he figured out who I was on Reddit, but like I tell people on Reddit, this is who I am.
Austro-Hungarian Redditor.
It's like, I don't know. I guess that's my other thing is I have a big problem with people who have anonymous names on the internet.
Yeah.
It's like just put like I think all of my handles are Ben Skutnik because it's just like this is me. These are things I say, and so. You know, when people have the anonymous handle, I mean, you didn't even know Hiller's first name was Andrew, and he's argued with you via YouTube how many times, right? And it's just like, if we're going to do this, let's do this. Like, let's be adults. Let's use our real names and say things that we would actually say in public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Discord, our Discord is kind of interesting in that, like, people come in there with these weird handles. And if they're too far off a base, I tell them like, hey, dude, I'm gonna basically boot you unless you change his handle. Like I don't need Sexmaster99 in this. Like use your real name. And like people use these fucking weird handles, and I look at it and I'm like, dude, I will boot you out of this fucking thing unless you have a.
Well, that was one thing about Hammer 90 is we made them use their real names, and it was 100% because I wanted them to be like, you're a person, like you're not, you're not a
cartoon character. You're not the Luke Summers. You're Luke Summers.
Yeah, you're an actual human being. His name was Robert Paulson.
Yeah. Yeah, so Luke's handle was the Luke Summers, and I'm always like, because he had Luke Summers, and then he lost the email and he couldn't access it, so he had to go to the, and I was always like, God damn it, you got to get Luke back.
I used to be the Saffron Sultan,
the Sultan of Saffron. It's good. The Sultan of Salt.
I mean, everybody has their
and then you get to the point.
Everybody has their phase.
Yeah, and then it goes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm forgiving.
Yeah, no, I look forward to at some point maybe we get a chance to have a face-to-face with Hiller. It'd be great if invite him here to the podcast, take him over and train a little bit.
But the thing is, John, don't let him revise history. He was invited down. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And the whatever he wants to put out on his videos about how it went down, he was invited and he never said yes.
Yeah.
Like that's it, point blank. He talks about like, oh, he wanted me to do it for charity, blah, blah, blah. No. You never said yes. Everything you're talking about comes after you needing to say yes. Like that, he wanted me to wrestle other people. I want to wrestle him, blah, blah, blah. You never said yes, dude. Like if you would have showed up, and then John says like, oh, I'm not wrestling you. Cool. Now you can tell that story. You never said yes.
Yeah.
You never went in the arena.
I'm going to channel my inner Shanji and just say, everybody's welcome to class. Just come to class.
He was saying, oh, you're bigger than me. And I was like, well, we got smaller guys. You can wrestle everybody.
Just come to class.
And then he spun it to say that you didn't want to wrestle him.
And then, I even said, I was like, dude, if you want to do like amateur collegiate wrestling, Big Matt was fucking got a singlet. He wears it underneath his suit. I was like, dude, you'll get the Polish hammer, which nobody wants. I'm like, dude, you're gonna get fucking dry humped by Matt in a singlet.
I do miss the Polish hammer.
God, I do too. It's funny.
Kielbasa.
I told him the other day, I'm like, damn you for leaving me. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, dude,
he hit me up. He ran his fastest 5K ever the other day. And I was like, congrats,
really?
dude.
Did it take 3 days?
Dude, he brought so much joy to my life. I'm sure he'll listen to this, but I was like he came and visited. We went and had coffee, and he's like, I'm sorry I left you. I'm like, I'm sorry I left you that you left me too. I was like, dude, this was like, Oh, you got it. Okay, cool.
You got so excited you ripped out your cord, man.
Yeah, no, I was like, dude, because I even said to him, I'm like, dude, if you want to do collegiate wrestling, I'm like, we can go to a wrestling place. I'm like, I'll bring the Polish hammer. He has a singlet on. Bring your singlet. I'll let you wrestle him. I'm like, if you want to do jits, you want to do anything. I'm like, you want a fist fight? We can do that too. So yeah, but he did not. He did.
You got to accept the invite first.
Yeah,
you got to show up, and then we can do whatever.
He records from his gym, right? Or
he records from his girlfriend's house.
Oh, that her parents bought him, or them.
Well, according to the guy on Discord, she moved him out of his parents' basement.
50 cent energy.
No, we had people that were on our Discord that did forensics that knew him that were like, well, he was living with his parents and then his girl moved him into her house. So it's kind of a weird deal. But yeah, we got a lot of like inside baseball on him.
I'm this
there's
close
a lot
to
of
John,
people
so
in the Power Athlete Discord from Chicago.
What's that?
There's a lot of people in the Power Athlete Discord from the Chicagoland area, and they all know a lot about him, I guess.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. So the Power Athlete Mafia goes deep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of deepness in it. So it's a lot of years of doing solids.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so
I took that whole journey, John, and now I'm out here 2 days later talking about Hiller on the internet. Look what you did to me.
I took a similar journey.
Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't tell you that. I took a similar journey. And what I realized is that the world is not chaos.
Nah.
It's not. What I've realized is your ability to stand firm and be conscious in the middle of chaos is what we're all hoping for.
See, but that's the thing. If I am chaos and you are chaos and Arash is chaos and we're all chaos, then that kind of negates it. But that doesn't mean that we're not chaos. It just means everybody is chaotic and we still need to figure out how to make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is definitely, I'll tell you this. I think 2025 was a really weird year for just everybody in general. I know it was kind of weird for me in a lot of ways. I know all of a sudden, like 2026, and I'm not a resolutionist. I don't believe in all that fucking like, is it really, if calendars and this thing all disappeared, would we know the difference between the years? Yeah, we knew when it gets cold and it gets hot, it's going to change. But I felt like a kind of a big renewal in like coming into this year. And I think for me, having like finally after all those years, like getting all that shit cut out of my knee and like getting it done in December, and then like feeling like, like January hit and, New Year's and this, and like feeling like that's behind me was extremely cathartic, and feeling like I have this like optimism for 2026 in terms of like what I want to execute, which, and I joke with Arash, like seeing his journey for not only what you were able to put together in terms of like your physical transformation, but to see the growth I've seen in you as a person, and to see how fast, like, like what you did in terms of like going from like a blue belt when we rolled to you and being there for your black belt. Like that was inspiring for me. And it's rare that I feel inspired. And like realizing like, oh man, like I got to see this transformation in front of me. Like a lot like seeing my kids grow, and like, like seeing you go from who you are and like, like to getting engaged in this, and like just being kind of a like not a peripheral person, but like being one of the people in the car, like on the parade with you, like seeing it was inspiring. And then realizing, being like, you know what, I don't want like a physical limitation to prevent, like what if I didn't have this physical limitation? Like, could I progress faster? Yeah. And then being like, you know what, I know what needs to be done. It's painful. It's going to take time, but like, I'll be so much better on the other side of this thing. And then like excited to have this behind me. And then also, the energy was so good at the collective, like kind of like, like I needed some time to kind of step away. And when we jumped on that call on Saturday, I was so supercharged. I'm bummed that there weren't 50 people on it, but like the dudes that were on that call, for our block one coaches, like kind of deciding like what we're going to do in 2026, like what do we want to do in terms of doing some in-person events, which I'm really excited. Like they're like the original magic for this thing really came from us being able to go on the road and teach. So being able to have some of these like in-person events, what we're going to do for this year's collective, some of the, the other things in terms of like, I started working on this idea of like scuttling high school strength conditioning, which I think is going to be pretty fun. We have like a neat little project I'm working on for that. And then some of the other things I've been working on. So, just like the rebooting of the academy and all the stuff that I've been going through to trying to get that all done. Just really like some really fun, exciting things for 2026. And I feel like that nonsense is behind me. And I'm excited to do it. So I'm stoked for just have 2025 behind me, because it was like I had kind of a dark thing where I felt like my knee was like, it was so overwhelming that like, when I was like, I got to like, and I didn't come to you guys and say I got to take time off, but I was like, man, like I was thinking in my head, like I'm going to take a little bit of time off and see if this thing calms down. And then like I took a month off and there was no change. And like, that was fucking like that sunk me in the heart, where I was like, fuck, like this thing's only going to change if I do something dramatic. Like I was thinking like in my head, I'm like, maybe I've overtrained on it. Maybe it's too much. Like it just was this like weird, it didn't hurt, but it didn't feel good. And the problem is I felt extremely unathletic when I moved. And like, that's worse than pain to me, where all of a sudden I was kind of like pogoing, and like, I just felt like the least athletic version of myself. And that was, fucking 1,000 times more crippling than any injury or power or strength. Because even when I was injured, I still felt athletic, and I couldn't do the things that foster and develop athleticism. And like, that was like, well, let me take some time off. And I still was unathletic. And like, that was a dark place for me. And we were probably right in the middle of Eat the Weakness, which meant that like, I was super low on calories, like the weight stopped. Like it just like everything kind of hit me at once. And I had this like dark feeling of like, is this my fate? Am I going to be unathletic and not be able to progress and do this? And like this thing that I want to be good at, like, is there a physical limitation that I can't fucking figure out? And like that put me into like a super dark place. And then when I realized it, I was like, you know what, I got to figure out why this thing. And that's when I went and saw the doc, and he gave me an option. And I was like, let's do it tomorrow. Let's like, if you want to do it right now, let's fucking do it right now. Because what I don't want to ever do is ever feel like I'm losing athleticism. Like pain I can deal with, injury I can deal with, function, strength, like I can handle those things. But the day that all of a sudden the physical limitation of a joint is preventing me from being the best version of myself, like that's something I can't fucking deal with. And like I physically couldn't, like mentally, emotionally, like it fucking literally scuttled everything in my life. Like, I mean, just everything. Like it ruins relationships. It just makes me not fun to be around. My wife finally said, "You're a fucking Grinch. What's wrong with you?" And I was like, because the person that I am inside, who I like imagine myself to not be that person is fucking death. Like that's, you know, you talk about ego death. I mean but that's a huge problem for me because I take a lot of pride in who I am and like what I'm able to do, and feeling unathletic and kind of like almost like a turtle on my shell at jits was like really hurting my feelings. And I didn't know how to get out of that. And I realized, I was like, oh, fuck. Well, one, I can't train the way that I want. And two, I'm having to like protect this thing at all times. And I can't get myself in the positions I want. I can't do what I want. And I'm like getting outplayed by people that I shouldn't. And like, that was extremely hard to like wrap my head around. And so I was like, well, you know what? Let me figure this thing out. And like the doctor's like, I'll fucking split your knee open like a cantaloupe. I'm going to chisel all this shit off. And I'm like, and he's like, the pain is going to be unbearable. He's like, it's going to be 60 to 80 bone fractures. I got to split you open. It's going to be awful. And I was like, I would much rather take that pain under the assumption that like when it's done, I'll be able to get back who I am. And so the guy split me open and I did it, and I've been rehabbing it for a month. And I'm like so excited for the fact that I'll get motion back, but I'm like, dude, the most athletic version of myself is going to be in 2026. And that's exciting because I got to see your journey, and I've seen like Victor's journey and Philippe and all this. And I'm like, I want to have an interesting, fun journey too. I want to do something. I want to compete. I want to do these things. And because why not? Like like when you keep saying next year, that's no year.
Yeah.
Right. So like I have to like get this done and then be like, and it's funny. Every time we run into somebody, like it's like Lovato being like, how come you haven't come up and trained with us? And all these people are like, how come you never go to Lovato? So like all the time I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then Victor's like, people always ask, how come you come never visit? And I'm like, fuck.
Hey, get used to it, because the longer you're in this game and the more reasons you have to like stay in your town or whatever, it's just like power athletes. Like, how come you never teach a seminar in Wichita Falls or whatever? It's just like that in jits. Like, dude, I never see you in Oklahoma anymore. And it's like, dude, I'm hurt, or I got things to do. I can't make it up there, and I want to.
Wouldn't it be great to go visit Salo?
It'd be great. Dude, okay. Power athlete, Brazil. Ben, we're in.
I have told you. So I've been to, I told you I was fortunate to go to Brazil for a month.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best adventures I've ever been on.
Yeah.
So the fact that I get to go back, but this time we get to actually
do jits.
We get to go to the Amazon. Maybe we get to catch an arapaima and just to like see where like the boys are from, and to like actually like, because they've seen where we're from. I want to see where they're from. Yeah. So like that's like a great adventure. I also got to do that ultimate adventure with my truck. I spent 3 years building a truck, and then I got to go basically torture test it in Oregon and Washington. I hadn't slept outside under the stars in years.
That's something I want to do more.
So when we moved to Texas, like, so we used to camp when I was a kid. We would like go to the mountains, we would camp, we'd go to Mammoth, we would like go to the beach. And like, even when I was in the NFL, I used to I had this bitchin' old Bronco. We used to go down to San Onofre and like I'd go camping. And when we moved to Texas, because you can't sleep on the ground, you can't really camp in Texas because everything's trying to kill you. There's fire ants, there's fucking snakes. I mean, it's just a bad place. And I'm like literally just slept in a hammock in a national park in Oregon. There was like under the stars, it was 60 degrees. There was no humidity. I had a tarp. It rained a little bit. It was fucking incredible. And like that, just basically sleeping outside and like being like connected in that way and getting to do that was so good for me. And I want to do more of that. I want to like get plugged into the things that like make me, which is, basically like, going back and skiing and mountain biking and doing these things and taking cash fishing. And, like I'm so excited to watch him get better at jiu-jitsu because he's so excited. Yeah. Like, man, Arash, it was fun to see you get the black belt, riding home in the car with Cash, and was so excited about him being like, Dad, will you be there when I get my black belt? I'm like, why wouldn't I be? And he's like, do you think Mr. Arash and Mr. Victor and the guys? And I was like, dude, I was tearing up and I'm probably going to cry right now. But dude, for the entire ride home, he was literally bouncing off the inside of the car, talking about when he gets his black belt and like, do you think Shanji would be there? And I'm like, dude, everybody's going to be there.
Dude, Ben, by the way, it was so like, yeah, I'm kind of getting emotional too, but dude, they gave me the black belt in front of all the kids in the kids class.
Yeah.
Dude, there was no way I was holding it together. It was probably the sloppiest speech I've ever given in my life because I was just tearing up.
And I mean, I was there on crutches. Right? Like, I mean, like all of a sudden Arash sees me show up with cash on crutches. Yeah. And like, and so they had talked to me and they were like, hey,
crying into his sutures.
Yeah. And like, you know, and like what's shitty was, I like, there was no way I was getting up there, but like, it was, you know, like it was to see the transformation. Yeah. But like seeing it, like, it was so impactful for those little boys and girls. And to like see how excited Cash was and like all of his buddies, like, because I mean, you know, here's Coach Arash and like, you know, Arash comes over and trains and comes to the house and this, and like, you know, he knows him socially. And like, now all of a sudden, like he saw Arash get his black belt and like, he was, dude, like beyond through the, but like, it was so neat that in the car ride home, he was like, couldn't stop talking about it. And I told him, I'm like, dude, you're making a promise to me. And you're going to go make a promise to the guys that you are not going to get off this train. You're going to step on the gas and you're going to do it. And he's like, 100% I'm in. And I was like, all right, I'm going to hold you to it. And I told his mom and I told his sisters, and I was like, he's made this commitment. Now I was like, dude, your path is not going to be linear. You're going to go this way and this way and this way, but we know what the destination is. And if that's the destination you want, then we'll make it happen. And it was great, dude. I was, yeah, like that was a special moment for us riding home in the car, but seeing that was great too.
And not possible without like the solid dudes, just, you know, having you, John, Ben, yourself, the community of people that we have. It's impossible to do great things without a solid team. So I think if 2025 taught me anything, is like challenge, pain, fear, like these things are easily overcome with community.
Yeah. So, well, just it's I think there's times when you don't believe in yourself.
Surely.
And it requires people being around you that believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, to have people around you, like I'll tell you, like one of my darkest moments was as a rookie in the NFL. And I think a lot of this stuff comes up because of injury. You know, now I have a matching scar on my right knee that I have on my left knee. And I remember, you know, I came in and started as a rookie. That first NFL game, I stepped on a seam and ruptured my patellar tendon. And the doctor came in and said, hey, you ruptured your patellar tendon, mid-patellar rupture. We've never had anybody ever come back from this injury. This is the end of your NFL career. And I was like laying there and I look over and my mom and dad are there, first NFL start. And I see like a tear stroll down my dad's face. And like, I'd never seen my dad cry. And I remember thinking like, this will not be like the asterisk in my life. Like, you know, like, you know, all of a sudden, you know, what I was thinking was like, you know, at some point they're going to like pull up a program or a book. Now it's the internet, right? And they're going to see an asterisk started one game, you know, 0 this, just one game. Like, and I was like, you know what, this will not be. And I went and had surgery that night. I laid in bed for 3 weeks. I couldn't bend my knee for 3 months. And then I had to somehow figure this fucking thing out. And I had this massive scar and all these problems. And all of a sudden in the off season, they signed John Runyon. I played right tackle. They signed a right tackle, paid him like, you know, fucking $40 million. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not playing right tackle. So in that situation, the doctor said, you're never going to play football again. And there was not a single person on that team, in that locker room, in that training room, or in that organization that believed in me at all. And I remember feeling this like moment of like, there isn't anybody in the world that believes in me. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to believe in myself. And ended up coming back and starting 17 or 16 games that next year, or I think 17. I don't know if we made the playoffs or not. But like that feeling of like, you know, when nobody believes in you, you have to believe in yourself. And for a long time, that's a fucking serious weight. And it would have been nice to have somebody be like, no, dude, you can do this. Actually, and you know what's hilarious? You know the one person who actually, this is fucking even crazier. My rookie year as I was starting, I got a supplement deal with Mauro De Pasquale. That's how I met Mauro. And Mauro put me in touch with one of the other guys that he had sponsored, a guy named Bob Sapp, professional fighter. And so Bob was playing in Baltimore, and Bob and I ended up driving down to Baltimore and going to dinner with Bob, and we became friends. And he's like, hey man, like we exchanged numbers. I'll give you a call tomorrow. That motherfucker called me every single day for like the next 3 years. How you feeling? How's the knee? You can do this. And literally, like, the reason he was at my wedding, like, the reason we've been good friends is because when nobody believed in me and I was in my darkest moments in this whole thing, that crazy motherfucker called me and was like, dude. And like, to this day, we're still, super close. But like, that was a situation where like, nobody in the world, like, I don't even think my mom and dad, my brothers, and it was wild, was my brother Eddie. He ended up, he was playing hoops 2 years ago, and he landed on a dude's foot and he actually ruptured his quadriceps tendon. I was a mid-patella quadriceps top, and he ended up, typical old guy injury. So he basically stitched him back, and he had to go through this thing. And I remember as he got into the rehab, he was like, every fucking, like, he would call me and I'd call him and be like, how's it going? We'd talk through, and he's like, I can't believe you had this. And you came back and started in the NFL. He's like, 1 year later, I'm like barely running. He's like, how the fuck did you do this? I'm like, I had no choice. Like, I didn't want to be just an asterisk. Like, and he's like, man, I didn't know how severe it was. And I feel bad that I wasn't more supportive. And I was like, man, like, and I called him like, you'll be fine. And he's like, dude, like, even to this day, it's funny. He, when he finally got cleared for action, like over a year later, he told the people, he's like, my brother did something similar. And he was like, 10 months later was the starter and ended up starting in the NFL and was the, season deal. And, and he's like, I'm barely running it a year. And at 10 months, he was in training camp. Like, this is crazy to me. And, but yeah, I mean, it's, I think you have to have an internal belief in yourself, but it's really helpful to have people around you that can mentor you and be like, hey man, I know this is going rough, but you can do it. And I think like, that's just part of, of life. Like, sometimes you need yourself, sometimes you need other people, man. And it's lonely to go. It's lonely to do it by yourself, and I don't recommend it for anybody, but you got to do what you got to do. And I think 2025 was a learning year, and I'm excited to see what happens in this year. And I do really, actually, one of the most hilarious things that came out of this year thus far at the end, and we had to wait for it, was all of the Somalian memes. The thing that, I can't stop laughing is, one, the Crusade memes and the Somalian memes are absolutely on fire. The amount of fucking hilarity about like this idea of the Crusades and like I get it, it's fucked, but like, it's funny.
Yeah.
Just because something might not be politically correct doesn't mean it's not funny. And I think that's what 2025 told us.
Yeah.
With all the issues I have with the content creation, I hope the meme lords never go away.
Yeah, they're super necessary.
They do bring, because it's like I think it's like an old Chappelle skit or whatever, but it's like everybody gets it, right? Like, all issues, people are making memes about every left, right, whatever. It's like everybody's getting memed now, and it's like, okay, we'll just laugh at everybody then.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, the memes are hysterical. I like some of the ones I get, like, I just stop and I laugh for like 4 or 5 minutes. People, and then my kids or my wife are like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, meme. And I'll send it to the girls, and they're like, I don't get why that's funny. And I'll be like,
my wife and I will do the same. And she's always like, I don't understand how you are on such a different algorithm than I am. She's like, where do you find? And it's just like, that's all I got.
I blame it on Sully. I blame it on Sullivan. Matt Sullivan is the reason that my algorithm is fucked.
Yeah, she's got like parenting stuff and sourdough stuff, and I'm just like degenerative stuff. Just
mine's Somalian memes and Crusades.
Sullivan definitely. I think to a benefit pollutes the waters of my algorithm. I love it. It's like a lot of hardcore and survivalist shit.
Yeah, like hardcore punk he sends me. But what's funny is I didn't realize I wasn't following him, so I finally followed him. He's like, he's like, now you're just following me. I was like, honestly, I didn't know I wasn't following you. And 2, you send me so much shit. Why do I have to follow you? But I because his name popped up, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't follow him. Yeah. Holy shit!
After 5 years of getting DM your inbox.
That's the next Andrew Hiller video. John Wellborn doesn't even take care of his own people.
Oh god damn it! I'll tell you, the Crusade memes are hilarious to me because and then actually Sullivan's been sending me like a whole bunch of like basically like revelations and Bible passages. I read like the Book of Enoch this year and went back and just listened. Like I've gotten way back I've gotten way deeper into not only like the writings from like the old or like the New Testament we're familiar with, but like a lot of the Old Testament, and then some of the books that were not in that original canon. And like just some of that stuff is so fantastic. Like I like read the book of Enoch and just like the Watchers and Methuselah and like just Noah. It was great. So I was trying to explain to the kids about the flood myths and went through it. Like, so I think I would like, for me, one of the things I need to do, I've made a commitment to try to just be, to educate myself more on those things and be a better person. So unfortunately we started with Hiller, and I don't know how we get to be, how we get to go back, even though this will probably spark some debate. He'll have one of his sycophants obviously listening to Power Athlete Radio and then send him this, and I'm here for it. Let's fucking get it on.
Yeah. I don't know. He's kind of lame, boring. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe in 2026 he'll form sound arguments and allow for nuance in conversation, and then I'm all for it. But
okay, all right. Well, let's bookmark that one. Maybe we can help him. And so with that, we're going to end the first episode of Power Athlete Radio 2026. Thank you, and tune in for another episode next week. See ya.
See you. Peace.
See ya.
This episode of Power Athlete Radio is powered by Train Heroic, the most immersive strength training app experience on the market. We've built an online training business by partnering with Train Heroic to deliver all of our world-class training programs like Jack Street, Hammer, Field Strong, and Grindstone. To learn which Power Athlete training program best suits your goals, head to powerathletehq.com/training. And if you're a coach looking to build a business with the best training tech in the business, head to trainheroic.com/powerathletehq. And now back to the show. Hey there, Power Athlete Nation. Big shout out to all the heavy hitters who stuck around till the final whistle. If you've been soaking in the knowledge bombs and epic tales we've been dropping for free, here's your chance to be a game changer. Swing by ko-fi.com/powerathlete and toss a few bucks our way to keep the podcast fueled and firing on all cylinders. That's ko-fi.com/powerathlete. Your support makes a difference. See ya.